Welcome to this debate.
Heck yeah. Let's go. Let's go. We have translations. That's what I was hoping for.
First of all, a word on the position of the candidates.
Let's do this.
Set as well as the order that they will give their opening speech and closing speech, which was determined by a random draw. The same thing for the questions. Here are the candidates from left to right on my side.
I want to see how close this is to Biden.
Mark Carney, Chrystia Freeland, Karina Gold, and Frank Baylis, left to right.
Why are they so far from each other? COVID?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Hello.
So here are the rules for tonight's debate. Each candidate will have 90 seconds
90 seconds to answer a question.
to make their opening statement. The debate will be on 4 themes this evening, which were selected by a survey
4 themes by survey. 90 seconds to answer.
of Liberals, the place of Canada in the world, building a stronger economy, supporting the Canadian population, and we will also talk about climate action. And for each of these 4
Climate
themes,
action, why not?
we'll have 1 minute
Of course, you gotta throw climate action in
to
there.
answer a question, which will be followed by a second question for all candidates.
I want to see, I'm curious, as an American, I've been hearing about Mark Carney, and they did some suspicious things, getting rid of one candidate, taking her money, when Mark Carney's kind of guilty of the same thing, right? So I want to see if these other candidates are going to attack Mark Carnival Carney, or is he going to get a free pass?
5 minutes among them. And at the end of the evening, each candidate will have 90 seconds for a closing statement. Some of the questions
Sang,
that we
sang,
asked this evening were sent in by Liberals registered throughout the country. None of
I wish Pierre was on here because I know Pierre would attack everybody.
the questions asked this evening was seen either by the
I
candidates
really wish Pierre was on stage, but unfortunately he's not.
and throughout the debate.
Welcome in, Canadians, if you are Canadian.
To ensure that candidates have a time to speak, equitable time to speak, rather than a timed equal time. Now, I ask you to exercise some discipline in the debate, and let's try and respect the time. And if I have to, I will have to call you to order and break in.
Let's see if anyone's gonna fight each other. Let's see if this guy's gonna have to go break up any
I know that
fights.
you're all wise people with a lot of experience.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
So let's go, and we'll start with your 90-second opening statement.
Yo, let's go! How exciting! We got the debates.
Mr. Baylis.
I wanna see some fights.
Good evening. My name is Frank Baylis. I'm a professional engineer. As a
Mark
businessman,
Baylis, hello.
I built up many businesses in the health sector, and with that, I created thousands of employments in high technology sectors. I recognize that collectively,
Bro, I've literally never even heard of this guy, and he's so monotone and boring already. Orca, who the heck is this guy?
we are facing important challenges. Having said that, I'm very optimistic for the future. Yes, I do have
On the CTV last year.
for Canada and faith. in
There's
it.
people defending them. Are you fucking kidding
And
me?
I have a plan so that we can develop our full potential. This evening, I'm going to concentrate on 3 priorities. First is to build a strong economy.
So this guy wants to build a strong economy.
resilient
1.
economy, which will benefit us all. Secondly, I want to improve our health system.
They want to improve the health system. I heard your health system's kind of falling apart, and you guys don't have enough doctors. I don't know if it's true.
So that it will become the best health system in the world. And thirdly, I also want to modernize the federal government so that it can deliver programs and services and do it more efficiently for the benefit of our citizens. Together,
Frank Baylis.
a Canada that is proud and prosperous for all Canadians.
I see in the house. So he's irrelevant then. What's he telling me, Orca? Nobody knows about him. He's probably polling like 1% of votes.
Thank you, Mr. Baylis. Madam Gould.
Thank you. The future is what unites us here tonight. Coming from a middle-class family in
That's
Provincial,
Kamala. I grew up in a middle class home.
Ontario, and now,
I grew up in a middle class home.
2 young children, I understand what Canadians are living through.
Karina Gould.
They're concerned. They want to know if they can pay their mortgage, fill their gas tank, or
I'm on CBC News. It's just the first one that came up.
retire. We are facing serious challenges for our economy and our sovereignty. But
Donald
this
Trump.
challenge
Sorry for my hat, guys. I have to support my president.
also offers us amazing opportunities. I'm very proud to be Canadian, especially today. Citizens throughout the country are mobilizing. We have the opportunity of regaining the confidence of Canadians.
I don't know about that one. I mean, they're kind of ruining it already by taking someone else's finances away, propping up Carney. I don't know.
Of uniting our country to defend our economy and to protect our values against threats coming from south of the border. And
This lady sounds a tad more genuine to me. I still don't know who, like, I don't know her that well, Karina Gold, but she seems more genuine than the other monotone
to counter our version of Trump here in Canada.
You know?
I didn't enter politics to become someone. I decided to go into politics to help my fellow Canadians and to do.
Hear, hear.
With a decade of experience, I know how to get there. A prosperous future where Canadians are at the heart of every decision. Our adversaries say that Canada is broken, but we know that this is a wonderful country. Tonight, I'm going to talk about my projects.
Here we go. Give us your plan.
Can be even stronger. I am the candidate for today and the future.
Thank you,
She didn't even give a plan, though. The first guy gave a plan.
Madam Freeland.
A few weeks
Yeah, I'm a little behind because I keep pausing it.
Party and to become the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Chrystia Freeland.
Represents the greatest threat to
I heard she's annoying. She looks annoying already.
Canada since World War II. He is threatening us with an economic war, and that's nothing new. The last time that he was president, he threatened us too, and at the end of the day, I succeeded in protecting
I think he's going to keep threatening you guys until Pierre is elected, to be honest.
our economy. But
To
this
be
time,
honest.
Trump's threats are worse. He wants to turn Canada into the 51st state, and it's no joke. That is why he is supporting Vladimir Putin's criminal attempt to redraw Ukraine's borders.
I have to disagree with that one. I'm sorry, but I have to disagree.
Trump wants to redraw our borders too. We need a leader who understands the seriousness of these challenges and how to face them. A leader that can respond and defend everyone.
And I grew up in Edmonton. Throughout my life, I've
Here we
had
go,
the
Marky Mark.
opportunity to serve our country as Governor of the Bank of Canada during the financial crisis of 2008. At this time, Canada is facing the worst crisis of our lifetime, and to get through it, we have to make big changes. I can be useful there. I know how to
I'm gonna
get
put it a
through
little louder.
crises. I know how to build a strong economy. Yes,
He knows how to ruin an economy, too.
there's a lot of uncertainty. And in a crisis, there are things that you can't control. But you have to focus on the things that you can.
This guy looks exactly like Joe Biden.
We are the masters in our own house, and I know that we can control our own economic destiny. I have a plan to invest more in you, a plan that makes our businesses more competitive,
What's your plan, though?
that builds a strong economy that works for everyone. Canadians,
What's your plan, bro? You keep going back and forth on your plan. How do we know what's real and what's not?
are ready to stand up for
Do you want a
Canada.
pipeline or you don't?
So am I. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. So let's now attack theme one of the evening, Canada's place in the world.
All right, I'm gonna skip then, because CTV's right here. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Bear with me. We have a Canadian in the chat advising me
At Harbor Freight,
on the best
we
chat.
do business differently from the other guys. We design and test
Yeah, I
our own
wanna be able
tools
to see the
and sell
chat
them
too.
to
See the Canadians flipping out.
Economy, we need to work on tariffs in reprisal against those imposed by Trump, and we need to work to cooperate better than ever on national security.
Yes.
We have to work with our allies to protect our economy and our security.
Maybe make that pipeline.
His second answer, Mr. Bayless.
It's an excellent question, because we know that at the present time 80% of our trade goes towards exports go to the United States. That's why I proposed a new economic bloc that would gather Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. Why? Because we share the same kind of government. We share the same kinds of values, the same language. Well, of course, English.
I think you guys should do both.
And
why rely on US or Europe? Get both, make money.
But when I was in England and I also sold products worldwide, and I recognize the importance of having agreements of this kind, international trade agreements, especially when we want to harmonize regulation. It really helps to have our products travel throughout the world. So it's a plan.
Yeah, and also I think about that. I'm like, if people love your product around the world, you have more leverage because then they don't want your product to leave.
Thank Diane for this excellent question. Most Canadians are thinking about this very thing. One thing that we learned after the first Trump presidency,
I kind of like this lady the most, to be honest.
We had to adapt and broaden trade relationships with many other countries.
There we go. Yes. Yes.
Spoke about free trade agreements with Europe, but also with Asia.
Yes.
And Latin America. And what the federal government can do is to help Canadian businesses to access these important markets.
I kind of like this lady, to be honest. I don't know how she is, but as far as the debate, she's winning so far.
To diversify from the U.S. and to enter into these new markets. That is what a government under my leadership will do.
Smart lady, smart lady.
Well,
Let's see what this donkey says.
For your question. First of all, I'd like to point out that Canada will never, ever be part of the U.S. in terms of diversity.
If he's president, it might be, to be honest. He might just sell it away.
We can focus on the...
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know much about Ruby besides that they took her money away, so I wish she was here, then I would get to know her too.
We have to leverage our assets. We have to become a superpower of clean energy.
Superpower and clean energy. Get out of here. Use your oil. You have gold under your feet. Liquid gold.
We have to use our culture that we have here, especially here in Montreal and Quebec. And we have to have a relationship with jurisdictions and countries like the EU, the Francophonie, and the UK that share the same values that we do.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. So let's follow up with the second question. So this question is a follow-up question. You have 1 minute to answer. Mr. Bayless will be answering. And then
I'm on CPAC now.
So why?
Which one's better?
And Canadians, Mr. Bayless, believe that you
they all look the same to me, but chat is disabled now.
War with the United States.
Yeah, I want to see that. The chat's been disabled for the past two I've put on. So hey, let me put CTV then.
And from time to time, I've seen Mr. Trump's character.
Let's put CTV. I want to see the comments of people freaking out. So, what are they saying? Give me a little hint before I get in here. Are they like, oh my God, Carney is such a patriot. He's gonna bring back the glory days by sending off our money to foreign countries.
I said that he was going to target steel first, and that's exactly what he did.
Facts.
And that's why I feel that I can prepare our defense and our counterattack as well.
Damn, Trump's not gonna like that. Talking about counterattacks?
Because I've already done it. I've negotiated with Mr. Trump. I negotiated.
Oh, get out of here. He doesn't like you.
And we succeeded in getting
He
a
hates
agreement.
Chrystia Freeland.
Is threatening us with tariffs.
Her and Trudeau, they always get it.
Steel and aluminium. We responded with counter tariffs, dollar for dollar, and
I'm looking.
At the end of the day, we won.
Pierre has my vote. Pierre is Trump's mini-me.
United, we will win. I know how to do that.
Don't fall for the green scam. Prefer Pierre for PM. I trust Christie.
That today's Trump is very different from the Trump of the past. He's more easily isolationist. He's more aggressive. In the past, he wanted our markets. Now he wants our country.
Trump is in rare form. He's in the most aggressive form of his life right now.
So we control.
He's going Super Saiyan 9000.
Trump, but we can be a
I'm scared. I don't even know what he's gonna do.
strengthen our economy immediately.
He keeps saying that, strengthen our economy. Then drill, baby, drill, dude. Make money.
Strengthen.
Why do you want this green BS so much? Makes me so mad.
You're saying is absolutely
I'm not even
true.
Canadian.
We do need to reinforce our economy, but we need to stand up for the Canadian economy
Yes.
faced with Donald Trump. And what I'm very proud to see is how Canadians throughout the country are standing up against Donald Trump's threats. And we're going to succeed because Canada is strong, but also we are doing things smartly. And Christian did excellent work with Kuzma the first time, and we can't.
No, don't
respond in
compliment
the
each
same
other.
way
Fight.
this time around. But what the president does respect is force, and I know how to respond to people that I don't agree.
He
with.
respects
I do it
deal
as
making. He wants to make deals, not fights.
Not easy.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy. But I have confidence in Canada and the Canadian team and the unity of our country.
Somebody just commented, all losers. Conman Carney.
I'm so proud of the very personal response of Canadians across the country.
I just hate her makeup and her hair.
That we can't respond to President Trump and win.
Isn't it crazy how much of this debate is revolved around Trump already?
Largest market
Almost every speaker is talking about Trump.
and larger than China, the UK, and France and Japan combined. So we need to mobilize the US with a strong response.
Two sub-questions. Mr. Legault's talking about reopening the trade agreement. Is that a good idea? To reopen the free trade agreement with the US.
Well, the
Yeah, right now I see a lot of conservatives in here. What's up, Ilona? Welcome back. Exciting times. This is so much fun.
Just said, the US needs us. They need us. They do.
Trump's already said that he doesn't care.
President, you have to be clear. What's never on the table? Culture, for example.
Carney just lies the entire time, I swear.
For example, supply management.
This guy's trying to respond.
Start a negotiation.
Are they gonna fight? Yeah, they're talking back.
Start with sovereignty.
No, they're agreeing. No, come on, fight. That's why we need that Indian lady here.
Citrus is the it girl of the season.
Every time I ride, I eat Sumo Citrus.
Yeah, for real, that's what I was just saying. Like, they're not even debating. They're just like agreeing with each other, being really nice. I guess it's a good look for Canada,
I
but
said that one of the first things that I would do as a prime minister is to protect supply management. I would say this in my speech from the throne. We need to stand up for all Canadians and our economy. This is not up for
thanks, Ilona. I'm a Canadian politics guy now.
Talking about the awesome closing off hydroelectricity exports to the States. Now, in your plans of counterattacks against Mr. Trump,
Again with Mr. Trump.
the exports of electricity, could they be cut?
Oh, here this is spicy. I need to know this.
Welcome
If my power goes out, I know why.
idea.
I know which one of these guys to blame.
It's very important to work with provincial leaders on tariffs, and it's extremely good that he's ready to use anything.
Well, you have to keep all your cards close to your chest. I agree with what Christopher said about this.
There you go, Button. I am a respectful businessman.
Oil,
Let me talk like a business guy.
resources, those are assets.
Someone says whites only. It's true, they are all white.
As my colleagues mentioned, Canada is
They axe the only diversity in there.
There's a lot of things that we have that the Americans need, and we need to make sure that whether it be individual Americans or the U.S. president, they need to understand that they're depending on Canadian resources.
Yeah, you guys need to build your leverage points. Right now, you have no leverage over Trump, really, besides the electricity, maybe.
Nous avons déjà une entente en place. Alors, de parler d'un compromis ou de parler de négocier une troisième version de l'entente.
This guy's French sounds kind of funny.
To understand that we already have an agreement in place.
Alors, M. Trump,
So
c'est un
there's no point.
intimidateur et
It's
qui ne donne pas un pouce à un intimidateur.
Trump is
C'est qu'est-ce que je
a
sais
hard
comment faire.
negotiator,
J'ai l'expertise
but
et
I know how to
l'expérience
deal
pour
with him.
dealer
I
avec
have the
les
experience.
Everyone says that. Everyone always says that. Oh, I know how to deal with them. Everybody knows how to deal with them until it comes to the deals. Yeah, DM, pure lies. Imagine if we had a Pierre up here just sending shots to everybody. Hey, you're lying. Shut up. You're lying too. Shut up. You can get some too. We need that. I mean, it's true. I can see with my eyes that everyone's white here.
That's really an excellent question. And thank you for pointing out the ideas that Premier Legault
She's
is
like,
raising.
her eyes are like wide
I
open.
said that with the United States, we need to be united,
Yes.
strong and smart, and that begins with unity. And unity begins with very hard work with premiers,
This is so dumb.
provincial and territorial
Because they're all
premiers.
saying the same thing, but with just different words. And nobody's taking a controversial take on anything.
During the
It's like one person speaking with 4 different personalities.
with the US, I know that today there's a wave of patriotism across the country.
Hey guys, if you can you guys drop a like? Appreciate you guys stopping by.
Quebecers and the people of Quebec will strongly support a united approach across Canada, and as Prime Minister, I will be the leader who will unite and defend the country.
Everybody says that. Watch, she's gonna say the same thing but with different words.
Prime Minister, no matter he or she is,
I will defend the homeland from Orange Cheeto Puff Man.
the premiers are all the
We have a great relationship. I had a previous business. I came from a middle-class family.
to create one single Canadian economy, not 13 different ones. If we have one single Canadian economy,
I agree with that, actually.
the positive impact
You guys should have one country, you know?
more than any
No taxes between you guys.
it'll be more than
Pierre would
any
steamroll Carney.
Mr. Trump's tariffs.
Dude, Pierre would steamroll Carney. Pierre would steamroll everyone on stage. He would steamroll the host. He would steamroll everyone. He is like Trump, dude. I actually love Pierre. As far as entertainment purposes, like, and just the based levels, Pierre is a legend.
President Trump will be there for 4 years. So
Don't tell Trump, but
our relationship with
I would kind of want him to be the president here.
I try to create chaos, but we do need a calm.
Yeah, Carney's like Biden. He has to stay
and we're
protected.
able to unite people, and that's an excellent idea to make sure that we have meetings with the
That's
Council
literally the
of
liberal
Defense
government
Association,
pays
not
trash.
frequent meetings, but to choose industries and to decide what can be negotiated. That's
Yeah,
possible.
not the elected one. He's the selected
We
one.
have one economy,
He's like Kamala in that way.
and that we need
I heard he's never even been in government. He just like
trade
popped out of nowhere one day. He's like, "Yo, I'm throwing my hat on the race now."
between provinces and territories. One of these trade barriers has to do with French language. And so we have to do this.
See, this lady brings some facts and some like something a little extra to the table. The rest are just saying slop.
So that we can have a strong Team Canada approach.
Well, approximately 50% of our exports to
This guy just needs a character, dude.
energy.
He just looks like some random
Ask a question about
janitor that put on a suit jacket.
Mr. Trump says that he's going to slap 25% tariffs on it. No, he's made that threat.
He's gonna do it, I think.
Why would he stop at 25%?
Carney's gonna get an easy corona. She also froze people's bank accounts and laughed about it during the convoy protest. Yeah, I heard about that.
Explain to taxpayers
What even was the
why
big
they
deal
have to
about the
pay double
truckers?
price for their electricity.
They were just protesting. Why'd you have to take their money?
And then he's going to
That's
say,
like domestic
"Send me the
terrorism."
bill." And I'm going to tell him, send me the bill. I'm not going to pay
Alors,
it.
ce ne sera pas moi qui va couper l'électricité.
So it's not going to be
Soit
me
ça
that
va
cuts
rouler,
electricity.
il va nous payer, ou ça va pas rouler.
It's-
Alors, s'ils veulent couper,
This
a
guy
question
thinks he's
of
a tough guy,
choice.
but he just looks like a
He's the one who's
capper.
going to end up cutting off electricity himself
on va pas le payer. C'est
because
comme ça qu'on va dealer avec
we're not
M.
going to
Trump.
pay the tariff on the energy.
Takes
And that's how we're going to deal with it.
Oh yeah, we'll see how Trump responds to that if you actually want to go like that.
Well, what about the Canadian population? A survey that says
That's the thing. These people say one thing. He's like, I'm gonna be tough against Trump, but it's like Trump has more leverage right now. What are you gonna do to Trump?
ideas, but how to convince the Canadians who think that they should go that way? How to convince them that they should support Canada and stay united.
That's an excellent question, and it shows one thing that I think
Here we go.
all agree
Let's
on.
all high five on this
All
one.
agree on. It's that Pierre Poilievre is completely unable
Oh my
to
gosh,
be the
shut
leader
up.
Canada needs now.
Why? What is your reason?
Who can't unite Canada? He'd rather sow division, and he
This is
wants
stupid.
to face up to Trump. That is why the Liberals will win the next election, because
This is why the Liberals will collude with each other to try to get the best odds to win, because we say he's not good, but he's amazing.
I think that one of the things that we haven't done sufficiently well over the past 10 years is to unite Canadians and to make...
Yeah, like, Gold does sound passive aggressive, but I like her the most. But that doesn't mean I would want her to be a leader. She's still not a leader.
And they're saying, no, they're
None of them on
saying,
stage
no, we're very
sound like
proud to be
leaders.
Canadians. We should have more moments
Only
of
Pierre out here
national pride
saying
of who we
controversial
are as
things, risking it,
Canadians. And one thing
saying
that
what
I'd like
the
to end
population
on, if
really
you'll allow
thinks.
me, is
These
that
guys are just after the bag. They
in
just want to
our
be
society,
prime
that this is
minister.
something we need to work with people
It's
who
in
are
name
even
only.
marginalized, so that we can have a greater amount of people who feel the Canadian pride.
Yeah, these are the type of people to me
Go ahead, Mr. Carney.
that'll sell out your country just like Justin. If somebody offered them like $10 billion off the record
of Canadian
for shitty deals for Canada and you guys, they would
want to
accept it.
stand up against the Americans. But Mr. Poilievre
Poilievre?
to divide Canadians, Mr. Poilievre, who he's a man who venerates Mr.
What did they call him?
Mr.
Timbuk Trump? Timbuk Trump or something?
Proud and strong country. So what are we missing right now is a certain level of leadership at the federal level.
I agree.
What we're seeing right now is that the provinces
I agree with
are
that.
going in all directions. They are armed with goodwill, but we need to be unified and with a strong leadership at the federal level.
But it's not this guy. I agree, but it's not this guy.
We've seen over the
The
past
strongest leadership is Pierre so far.
in the country has bound together to fight against this threat. Pierre Poilievre says, well, he's going to do what Trump wants, but for Canadians,
I don't believe he said that though.
they stood up, and this makes me so proud to be Canadian.
He just said certain things that he wants to do, not because of Trump, but just because it's good for the country.
That I added a question because we were talking about Canadians in the province. So let's go now with a follow-up question. For a 5-minute debate amongst all Canadians, what would be your concrete actions Canada should implement, and we're changing Sector 2, encourage a sustainable solution to the Israeli conflict?
Here we go. This is gonna get spicy.
Thank you. This is one of the most complicated conflicts
I
in
agree.
the entire world.
I agree. It's so over my head.
I'm pleased that we finally have a ceasefire. Canada's position
Trump got a ceasefire.
to work towards peace and security for two peoples, for the Palestinian and the Israeli people, so that they're able to live in peace and security side by side.
I like the two-state solution. My personal opinion.
To work on this. There is too much suffering for people in this part of the world.
I agree.
Participates in humanitarian missions. We have to make sure that we can provide more humanitarian aid and work with both.
Yeah, Justin Trudeau's just giving away everything to Lord Zelensky over there, the beggar in chief.
Who wants to follow up?
Christian, oh.
Add one thing.
Mission.
When Mr. Trump says things that are false and that violate the international rules-based order, we have to be very clear that we don't agree.
I think it's pretty clear.
Declarations on Palestinians in Gaza.
Dude, like 80% of America doesn't even agree about
More
that.
than ever for Canada
A lot of people were
today,
mad about that
the
announcement.
rules-based international order is extremely important, and we have to be clear that
Canada first.
Mr.
the rule of law country.
Here we go, Mr. Boring in the house.
So,
Mr. Janitor.
to reclaim our place on the world stage with
I don't like his tie either.
that we have to stop towing the American foreign policy, especially when it comes to the Gaza region. Canada has to be a moral leader. What does that mean? We have to help Palestinians rebuild.
I'll be right back. Let me grab my charger real quick.
We have to
2
recognize
minutes,
them as a
please.
people, and we have to recognize them as a nation. So we should formally recognize Palestine.
We've been trying to do that for years, unsuccessfully.
Yes, we've been talking about it, but we haven't done anything. So I think the time has come to do it formally. And I firmly believe that it's the best way of establishing a durable, sustainable
Mr.
peace.
Carney, what's your position on this?
Well, first of all hostages must be returned to their families. That's the first thing. Secondly, there needs to be assistance for Gazans. There are two things now which are unacceptable. First of all, Mr. President Trump's idea that Palestine is a big real estate deal, that idea, that commitment by Pierre Poilievre to cancel all international assistance, including to Gaza and Ukraine. That's unacceptable.
It's acceptable to me. Let's cut funding to everyone for Canada and the US. That money is for you guys. Taxpayer money is for you guys.
All liberals will agree.
Our taxpayer money is for our
that
citizens.
returning the hostages is a priority.
Yes, but our position must be a two-state solution.
Let's go, baby.
We need to work towards peace. And with regards to a future government of a Palestinian state, we must ensure that Hamas does not play a role in that.
Yeah, I literally have no comments about this because that whole situation is just above my head. I live in America. I have no idea.
Just rapidly.
Oceans apart.
So when
Oceans
I say that
apart.
we should recognize the Palestinian state. It has nothing to do with Hamas.
Hummus.
We want to help them
Did you
rebuild.
really say hummus?
So it's not. I'm not proposing for one moment that we word Hamas.
We all agree on Hamas on a two-state
No, we don't agree with Hamas.
solution.
No, we're against
Yes,
Hamas.
Oh, the first disagreement. Let's go. Fight him, fight him, fight him.
Two-state solution, but it must be a Palestinian state, a viable state, a united state that exists next
Did you say United States?
a peaceful and secure Israel.
Well, have we ever seen that?
They spent 40K on padded bikinis for teenage trans.
You know what?
That is
How you envisage
almost as bad as the US.
Mr. Trump, with what tone, personal, let's be at Mar-a-Lago or with what assurance. The president of Poland went to meet him a few days ago, and he had to wait an hour and a half
Yeah,
outside of his office to talk to
Yeah.
President Macron was there today.
that's right.
Apparently he's satisfied of today's meeting, but how Mr. Trump will wake up tomorrow, we have no idea. So I'd like to know, if you're in an office of Mr. Trump who's very threatening and all of that, so one after the other, tell us.
I'm convinced if any of these people win, Trump won't even take a meeting from them. The only person he'll invite over is Pierre.
I think. First of all, I don't think I'd bother go seeing him. No, I'm serious. I would send a delegation.
Yeah, don't worry.
For discussion purposes.
Every country has that. Europe has that. UK has that. They're all spending too much foreign aid.
He wants to be overbearing.
I mean money laundering.
So, you can talk to me, but otherwise I'd send a delegation.
I would begin not by negotiating with President Trump in person, because like all political leaders, President Trump is listening to U.S. voters. It's Americans who are important to him.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Christia.
With a short answer, with a list of counter-tariffs to put pressure that comes from within the United States.
It's impossible to talk. I know you have.
But what I'm saying is that we need to create...
You know, even me as an American, for the tariffs against Canada, it doesn't really make sense because there's not really that big of a problem on that border. My question is, why is he using this leverage and what is his end goal? With Mexico, I get it. He wants to take out the cartels and yeah, but I don't understand for Canada, what's his real goal? Because in the Art of the Deal, his book, it always says you have to make a crazier ask so that when you get your want, it feels like the other side is winning too, right? So that's why I'm like, obviously Canada's not going to become the 51st state, but what's his goal though?
Only respects us if we have other options, and this is one of the reasons why we have to build a strong economy here at home. We have to be clear.
Hey guys, 29 people in here. Can we get a like or two? 31 people in here. Thanks for coming in.
Before we start
Like and sub if you can. I'll be back tomorrow too for the English ones.
1 minute each to answer. 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Yes, but we can't say that we're not going to talk with Mr. Trump. We have to have talks with Mr. Trump.
There you go. I love this girl. I love this girl. Is she married? Just kidding. I'm a nobody.
Maybe I won't go to Washington, but I will talk to him. And I will explain.
She has to win the Liberal nomination.
And that's not up for negotiation, and that we are strong and we're united, but also that there are issues that we need to work on together, and we can
Yes.
to work together
What a legend, actually. I might have to follow her now.
against countries
Hope she has an X account.
that are
Sounds so reasonable.
Another question for you.
The rest are like, we're gonna counter tariff to oblivion.
Was in Ukraine today on this third anniversary of the war. We learned today that Canada will be providing $5 billion, 5,000 armored car vehicles.
Yeah.
Just how far can Canada's financial assistance go, and is that something
Yeah,
that might
they all talk crap about Justin all the time.
Well, first of all,
Yeah, JD's a savage too. I hope you guys heard his speech at the Munich Security Conference. Put Europe on blast.
moral,
They're still freaking out to today.
and I'm very proud of the approach by the government of Canada and by Canadians themselves. It's been their approach to Ukraine has been great. We've supported Ukraine because it's a democracy which is suffering an illegal, unjustified, horrible invasion.
You know, I would have felt differently about Ukraine if there wasn't so much money laundering happening through there.
I'm proud to be a Canadian. I'm not welcome in Russia. Christia either.
Yes, we all are.
Come on, he's barely a Canadian. He's a phonadian. When it benefits him, he's a Canadian. When it doesn't, he's British or something. Or he's Middle Eastern with his oil deals.
Cannot happen without Ukrainian participation.
I'm going to open debate on that point. Just how many billions of dollars can we spend to help Ukraine, and how?
Mr. Chauvin,
That's a good question. I'm actually curious about that.
by saying that we have to be there.
How much is too much, you know?
To stand with Ukraine
At what
because
point
Ukraine
is it not a good investment?
Their democracy, their sovereignty, but at the same time, as they're doing that, they're defending our democracy and our sovereignty. Because this war
Yeah, no worries, Alona.
involves the rules-based
I'll
international
be back tomorrow.
Can a country decide to
Tripping
withdraw
me
from
up.
the country's borders? That's the issue. We have to use Putin's money. And that's what I did as Minister of Finance.
Isn't that stealing?
These $5 billion are based originated in Russia. It's Russia's money.
So she's bragging about stealing Russian money.
There are 250 billion
Good job,
dollars
Christia.
in Russian money in Belgian banks. That
And Ukraine wants to keep all of that.
will help Ukraine.
Don't you think Canadians should get some of that back?
I was Minister of Finance and I'll continue.
I think Canadians need some of that money back, to be honest.
You mentioned that it was the third anniversary of the start of this war, and this was a very somber day today. But last week, we saw that Mr. Trump
I love her.
abandoned the free world because he had talks with Putin, and so Putin started this war. And I think that Canadians can be very proud of our response in Ukraine, but also we have to be allied with the Europeans.
C'est notre liberté qui
This
est
is
mise sur la ligne. Alors je crois, j'espère que sur
No, it's
cette
not.
ligne, vous allez voir beaucoup
Ukraine has nothing to do with you. We're oceans apart here.
avec cette approche
with
parce
this
que
approach
il y a plus
because
sur la table, plus à perdre
there's more
avec
to
le
lose.
I actually have a
peuple
controversial
ukrainien.
take on Russia and
Pour
Ukraine.
les Canadiens, nous sommes là pour
And for
défendre la
Canadians, we are
démocratie
there to defend
ailleurs dans le monde,
democracy
mais aussi à notre
throughout the
maison.
world, but also in our own house.
Avec M. Trump, nous sommes en train de voir un changement
Ching chong ching.
fondamental
We're seeing a
dans
fundamental
la
shift
manière que
in the way
les choses sont gérées à travers le
things
Sing
monde.
song
are
sing.
managed
Il
at
se retire
on the
et non
world stage.
seulement ça, il commence à
not
être
only
allié
that,
avec les Russes.
But he's
Alors c'est complètement
essentially
inacceptable.
allied
Alors
himself
le
with
Canada a
Russia,
un rôle
which
à
is
jouer
completely
avec
unacceptable.
We're just trying to make
So
money,
Canada
trying to make
has
deals.
a
We'll make deals with anyone. Trump will make a deal with North Korea if it's good for us. That's what's different about Trump and everybody else. Trump doesn't care about the labels on countries. He's like, if you can do something good for the American taxpayer and the American
Yes,
people,
I agree that we have to
we'll make a
work
deal.
with the countries, Nordic countries, and Denmark.
Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, what are Carney's passports? He has Canada, I think England.
Ukraine.
What's his other one?
Free trade agreement for ideological reasons. That's completely outrageous.
So we're going to change teams now. We're moving on to the second team of tonight's debate.
These people are giving you a headache.
Economy.
I'd much rather see Orca and Ilona on stage shouting at Carney.
Exiting a difficult period.
If you guys could grill Carney on one topic, like say one diss to him, what would it
We
be?
have a very impressive deficit of some $60 billion in the last budget. So when do you foresee a return to a balanced budget? Ms. Freeland speaks
Oh
first.
God, isn't she the one that quit after the major debacle with the budget?
We are all liberals, and we will not repeat conservative misinformation. We are not going to
What do you mean?
conservatives work for them.
What do you
The reality
mean?
is that Canada's financial
Oh my
market
God.
is very strong.
No, it's not. Not under
High
you.
credit rating. We have
What am I hearing?
the lowest debt to GDP ratio in the entire G7.
Dude, she quit because they went farther into debt than she said, and she wouldn't reveal it until the
We have
last
to
minute.
begin with the fact that we're
No
living in a
way is
country
she
that
saying
is
this.
growing. Let's begin with the threat that Donald Trump poses.
Dude,
And
they're
as
all in
Canadians
it together for
suggested,
sure.
have to seize the
They probably agreed on like certain topics not to attack each other on, or
Canadian
for sure they came
enthusiasm
to. This is like,
build to attract investment
this is just a
abroad.
show. This isn't real.
So I'm also asking Mr. Carney, $60 billion. How many years does it take to come back to a balanced budget? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Well, I have a plan.
I will bring my pipeline from Saudi Arabia and I will transport it here, and we will be rich.
But in terms of the budgetary situation here, the fiscal situation, we've seen an increase in spending across.
I feel like Canadians like Carney because he just like his like body gestures just look like a typical politician, you know? Middle of the pack guy, nothing too crazy, clean cut,
So in order to
typical
invest in
politician look.
services, we have to change the way we manage our spending so that we can.
Yeah, Trudeau is covered with conspiracies, like from every angle. I hear about it every day on YouTube.
And increase it to 2% for NATO. Where are we going to find the money to ensure that the deficit decreases while yet increasing military expenses and cutting
Yeah, you guys are underspending for NATO.
First of all,
if you guys got rid of your green bullshit, you guys would have more than enough money for anything.
Military spending is
Cut your government, doge it, axe it.
increase to between now and the end of the decade. That's important. What's important about military spending is to strengthen the security of Canadians. That's really what's important. That's why we have military spending. It's not just an arbitrary number. It's more important to focus results.
Why do you send it to Ukraine?
3 years.
Why is Justin sending it to Ukraine?
Well, I'm certainly going to bring a more disciplined approach to managing the budget in Ottawa.
Ireland?
And does that mean that I'm
Oh,
going
he's
to be,
he's an Irish citizen.
increasing taxes? No, there's a third way.
He's got to get that EU benefit too.
To augment our productivity. As a business leader, I know how to increase productivity.
As a business leader,
A company with 2 people
he sounds
like myself
insecure. He
and
keeps
others,
having to shove that in there.
we had 1,000 employees.
Wow.
So,
Do you want a cookie, sir?
needs to be done. I understand.
Do you want a literal cookie with the Canadian flag on it for your 1,000 jobs?
Understands both. Why? Because
I hate this
have
guy
been
more than
doing
Carney,
the
maybe.
job, But I'm also a businessman, so I know how to implement government policy
Stop.
that is going to help us
très avancé.
build up and grow our economy
Merci Pierre.
at an
Je crois
advanced
qu'on
rate.
devrait être réaliste.
I
et
think
There you
that
go,
we need to be
finances.
realistic
Et
and
je
direct
suis
with Canadians.
pas confortable comme libéral de
And
commencer
as a
cette
liberal,
question
I'm
avec
not
les coupeurs
comfortable
budgétaires.
to start
On
with
doit
budget
parler
cuts.
I would probably ask him
40
We need
milliards à peu près de
to
dollars
talk
dont-
about
how much
these
money he's
40
embezzled over the years.
dont,
that
le
was
plan.
announced.
Et nos
I wouldn't even
devoirs
know.
et nos
It is our
responsabilités
duty
et nos
and our
ententes avec les
responsibility.
peuples autochtones
We
dans
do
ce
have
pays
agreements with
à
indigenous
dire quelque chose qu'on doit
people in this
payer,
country, and
mais c'est
we
pas de
have
cette année, c'est pour les années à venir.
commitments
Et je suis
in
tout
the
à fait
years to
d'accord
come.
qu'on
And I
devrait
agree.
croître l'économie,
We
qu'on
need to
veut
grow the
avoir plus de
economy. We
productivité.
want to increase
Mais-
productivity.
Fuck, it's so annoying. Like, they all say this,
I think that we can
but
do that
Pierre
in
is the
5 years.
only one
I
with the
don't really think
plan.
that's realistic. And
These people just say things with no, like,
facing extreme
actionable
pressure.
ideas.
La décision
So we have
d'investir
to be
dans
able
nos
to
personnes,
invest
dans nos
in
peuples,
our
dans
people.
nos
How?
entreprises pour les
How?
protéger contre les
Where are you gonna get that money from? What are you gonna cut? You're gonna cut military spending. You're gonna cut LGB spending. You're gonna cut the. What are you gonna cut? Where is it gonna come from? Are you gonna tax your people more?
Did you not?
No reduction in provincial transfers. No reduction
Pas de réduction.
in any initiatives.
Pas
No,
d'augmentation
none.
non plus, c'est statu
No
quo, je
increases,
crois.
just
C'est
status quo. Status quo, yeah.
Pendant environ
He's backing down.
150 millions
5-5? 5-5-5?
150
au
million
sein
in
du
programs.
budget
That's my favorite French word.
Il faut
5-5-5?
augmenter la productivité.
Budget.
5-5-5?
To increase productivity.
Nous sommes à Montréal.
We're in
maintenant. Nous
Montreal
sommes à Montréal, une des centres
tonight,
d'intelligence artificielle.
which is the
Il faut mettre en
center,
œuvre
a
pour le
hub of
gouvernement.
AI.
Maintenant,
That
à
has to be
partir de
put to
maintenant,
work.
Really?
il faut qu'on
What's the famous Canadian AI? Never heard of that one.
At the same time,
Oh, here we go.
I'd like to ask
Here we go. Bother.
Je peux terminer.
Oh, oh,
I'd like to
oh.
add something.
un peu plus de temps là, pour qu'on aille plus loin
Je
dans
veux
nos
juste dire, la responsabilité fiscale est importante,
getting a little chippy
mais c'est
now.
important d'être clair
Yes,
avec les
it's
Canadiens que
important
la
to get to a
position
balance.
Do you guys know how long this goes for?
Clear and tell
I hope it's like 3
Canadians,
hours.
Explain that we are in a strong position today. What we need today is
mais pas couper les
invest
choses,
in
vendre
productivity
directement aux
without
Canadiens
cutting
canadiens.
services that are helping Canadians directly.
Yeah, that's kind of what Trump's doing.
I was the Minister for
Quand
Service
vous avez
Canada.
l'expérience à gouverner comme
And
ça,
when
vous
you
savez
have
déjà
experience in
qu'on
governing,
utilise déjà
you know
l'intelligence
We're
artificielle
already
pour,
using AI
pour faire nos services plus
to
efficaces. On peut
provide
toujours faire
services to
plus,
make our services
mais
more
dans
efficient.
un
We can
moment
always do
où on a
more.
besoin
But at
de
a point in
peut-être
time
appuyer les
where we
Canadiens
need to
That's
support
interesting.
de manière
Canadians
importante contre les menaces économiques.
against
Je ne suis
economic
pas tout
threats,
d'accord
I
de dire
don't
qu'on ne va
agree
pas dépenser
in
de
saying
plus,
that we're not
parce
going
que
to
si on a
spend
pris cette
anything
décision
more.
pendant la
If we
pandémie,
made this
les
decision during the
Canadiens auraient
pandemic,
su faire beaucoup plus.
if we had
Beaucoup
not made this
d'entreprises se seront
decision,
fermées.
Canadians would have suffered more and businesses would have shuttered.
Yes or no?
Yeah, I get that argument. I get it. But
To cut the
it is a little tough to say because any kind of spending will cause inflation. Your money doesn't go as far.
With a brand new design that
Plus your energy. If you guys got that east to west pipeline, it wouldn't be a big deal. or if you guys started diversifying, shipping out. Keep in mind it was and wasn't Freeland's fault because she needed to follow Carney's policy. But why would you attack your son's godfather on the debate stage? Yeah, actually you're right. Carney was like an advisor, and they were taking it as advice on like.
No, and I'll be honest with Canadians
Yeah, that's
on that topic.
it's so confusing.
We have to bring some discipline to Ottawa. It's easy to say, yes, we'll give you this and we'll give you that, but let's be clear. We do have a deficit and we have to address it.
There you go. At least he's being honest.
We can't promise that we're going to cut the
Can I add one thing?
I want to conclude on this.
C'est un point important. Parce
It's an
qu'on
important point,
commence
I
à
think,
parler d'investir
because
dans
we're
notre
talking
pays.
about investing in our countries. We're all talking about the
Selon
same
moi,
thing.
il faut utiliser
Exactly, that's the problem.
We have
You guys are one person
puissance
in
de
4 different
notre
bodies.
fédéral
of the
afin
federal
de
government
catalyser le grand
to
investissement,
drive
afin de transformer notre économie.
investment to
Nous
transform our
sommes dans une
economy.
crise. Faut agir.
We're in a crisis.
There we go. Argue, Christia.
To be liberals, we need a liberal approach. Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin's party, we were always a party of budgetary responsibility and economic growth. We also need the
I think she's capping though. I think she had some like it's not like she was against spending, right?
and be disciplined.
She was only against it because it was her ass on the line and not Carney's.
Labor, interested in economic success, creation of jobs. How are you going to ensure that Canada has access to highly qualified labor?
C'est de la compétence du Québec, on le sait.
I know that it comes under provincial jurisdictions, and I come back to transfers. Will you maintain the transfers? I asked the question earlier whether you're going to increase them because of the economic situation right now, in particular what's going on with our American friends and the people that I talked about.
Are you gonna ask at Trump again?
Service in Quebec are worried right now and are hearing rumors that there will be a cut in transfers. Earlier you said no status quo, no risk that there would be any cut in transfers to provinces and persons. Mr. Bayless gets to speak first.
What you gotta say, sir, janitor, sir?
transfers, provincial transfers, no, that's not where we're going to cut. I want to increase, I want to grow the economy by
What's a provincial transfer? Is that the trade you guys have between each other?
activity as well.
Provincial
We
transfer.
have to believe in ourselves. We have to invest in ourselves. And the thing that worries me is the fact that we've cornered our universities. We squeeze them. It's not a good thing because it's fundamental to building up an advanced economy. So I'm against the cuts to university funding.
Monsieur Carney. Pas de couper
No
des
cuts
transferts aux
to
provinces.
transfers
pas
to
du
the
tout. C'est le
provinces.
moment où on doit
It's now
augmenter
time
les talents de
to
nos ouvriers. C'est
increase,
un bon ton, un beau bon ton.
talent and to train our workers.
They want to increase funding to everything, but where's this money coming from?
Madame Freeland.
We're not gonna cut this. We're not. Then what are you gonna do? You're just gonna keep the same thing going. Somebody commented scripted debate. There's like 3-4 people going scripted debate, scripted debate, scripted debate, scripted debate. I think it is a scripted debate, to be honest.
No, this is not the time.
I found out
to
today that he has a
reduce
godfather. He
transfers to
has the godfather. I don't even know.
It's the right time to work more closely than ever with the provinces.
computer charger.
And it's important to ask the provinces to work closely together. What I'm seeing among the provinces is a tremendous willingness today to unite as part of Team Canada, for us all to work together. We're ready to do that. And we can genuinely increase economic growth and prosperity for every single Canadian by creating free trade within our country. It is the right time to do it, and we can.
No, I would not cut any transfers to provinces or territories. I don't think it's the time to do that. And it's important to know that I would respect the jurisdiction of the provinces. But what we could do as a government would be to modernize our social safety net and make sure that EI, for example, has an increased amount of resources to provide training to our workers.
This is what I'm saying. They're trying to say they're gonna increase funding to everything. Every single thing the government does, they're promising to make it better and spend more.
to
ont
make
accès
sure
à ces
that people would
services.
So we're gonna go into debt.
to these
Programmes, parce
services
qu'on
and
doit
these programs.
moderniser notre
We
filet
need to
social pour le
modernize our
21e
social
siècle.
safety net
Il y
for
a
the
trop de
21st
gens pour qui
century.
ça ne travaille pas.
There are too many for whom
Question
it
suivie d'un
doesn't
débat
work.
maintenant,
We'll
5
follow
minutes
up
entre tous. C'est
with the
Mme Gould
debate,
qui, au tirage au sort, avait la première
Madam Gold
réponse. Au
gets
cours
to
des
answer
derniers
the
mois,
question.
Madam Golddigger.
These last some months,
que
specialists
l'élimination
they
des
say the
obstacles au
elimination
commerce
of
entre les provinces et
barriers
territoires
to
contribuerait
trade
à
between province and territory would
favoriser
contribute to
la
favor
croissance économique.
economic
Cette
growth
idée n'est
in
pas
Canada.
nouvelle. Ça
This is
semble
not a new
difficile à
idea.
appliquer.
Times
Qu'est-ce
seems
que
to be
vous
difficult
feriez
to
pour
apply.
faire en sorte que ça marche, finalement?
What would you do to make it
Comme
work?
vous avez dit, ce n'est pas une nouvelle.
I wonder if tomorrow's debates they're gonna say the same things, or are they gonna switch up on some stuff depending on what their political analysts said, what resonated with the crowd and what didn't.
Every prime minister since Laurier has tried to do it. But I think that what's important would be to have dedicated working groups according to sectors to see what are the regulations that can be set aside while respecting the differences to work together. This is something
Oh, we have to be really nice to each other and work with each other. And we gotta suck Mark Carney and make sure he wins this election.
Between provinces and also to see what are the strengths and the weaknesses and how we can do things. This is federal
F off carbon credits.
work.
I want to see a Pierre Poilievre monument in Ottawa. That's someone commented.
I would have frequent
Well, let him get the job first. Fast train is for shipping faster the immigrants from Quebec to Toronto.
Mr. Carney.
Well, yes, let's be clear.
Folks, Carney does not like to be challenged. Scripted debate, scripted debate, scripted debate.
Need to increase our GDP by 5%. That's much more than the impact of Trump's tariffs. We have to reduce prices by 15% as well. We're facing an affordability crisis in Canada. How do we do that? First of all, we have to convene premiers.
Do you guys know how long this is?
Has to lead the initiative. We have to scrap federal barriers. There are many of them, and I know that the government's already working on this.
2 hours probably,
Thirdly,
yeah.
we need to have a meeting with no preconceptions. We have to scrap barriers which need to be torn down.
I think this is an extremely important issue.
A raison quand elle a dit
Karina's right when she said that this is something we've been trying to do for a long time. But I think the time for it has really come.
Hey guys, welcome back in. If you guys can, drop a like for Pierre Poilievre because this is a fake and scripted debate. And they all suck.
Doesn't want free trade with us.
They're not offering entertainment. Like the American, like Joe Biden. I'm sure you guys watched it. Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. Donald Trump versus Kamala. Dude, they were sending shots to each other. Brah, brah, brah.
The initiative by the Premier of Nova Scotia, who suggested a reciprocal approach among provinces. That is a very good
It's the money that gets sent to various provinces. Okay.
And we have to move fast.
Monsieur Trump doit bien faut aller vite, nous aussi.
Mr. Trump is moving fast, so we have to move fast too, and we can. Canadians are ready.
Alors, j'ai
Mr. Bayless.
C'est un défi qui
It's
était
a
assez
challenge.
difficile à surmonter et de dire
It's going to be
simplement qu'on
difficult,
va le surmonter.
and
C'est pas
it's
raisonnable.
not enough to
Mais
say,
alors, moi, j'ai
it's not reasonable to
proposé
say
deux
we're just going
projets
to deal with
qui vont
it.
faire en
So
sorte
I have
que
two
nous allons
projects
travailler ensemble. La
that
première, c'était
will
de
help
mettre en
with
place
this.
deux
First of all,
Here we go, some
is to
actual
establish
things.
two
de l'Alberta vers
natural
l'est
gas
et de
pipelines
vers l'ouest
from
pour
Alberta
augmenter
to
et
east.
diversifier
Yeah,
nos,
just keep
marchés.
printing.
Deuxièmement, j'ai
diversify
proposé
It's not a good
de
idea.
mettre en place
And
une
secondly,
ligne de transmission
It's way harder to
électrique
fix after.
pan-canadienne. Voilà deux projets tangibles qu'on pourrait
the other
dire,
project
voilà,
is to
on
build
commence vraiment
a
à travailler
Trans-Canada
ensemble. Et c'est de là
high
qu'on
energy
pourra continuer à
power
enlever les
line.
barrières.
And that's how
On
we're
change
going
de
to be
thème
able
maintenant
to
pour parler de soutenir la
How much is that going to cost, sir? Can you let us know that one?
La pandémie a fait très
As you
mal,
know,
on
the
a souffert
pandemic
d'une
hurt quite a
inflation
bit. We had
importante,
high
des coûts
inflation.
chers, on a un manque important de
We
logements
have an important
abordables, le
lack
panier
of
d'épicerie, le
affordable
salaire a
housing,
augmenté. Bref,
and
le coût de la vie
The cost of the groceries keeps increasing. The whole cost of living is increasing. So, as a Prime Minister, what would you do to help Canadians? Mrs. Freeland,
I'm gonna spend more money that we don't have on things that people like, so that I can get the vote.
Life is too difficult for
I'll answer for you.
And Canadians are very concerned about the threat that Trump represents. I have a very concrete and specific plan to help people with affordability. I would begin by reducing taxes for the middle class.
Sounds like Pierre.
After that,
Sounds like
I would limit credit card interest rates, and then I would add 100,000 daycare spots. Then I would ensure there was more affordable housing created. The
Am I
most
stuck?
important thing we need to remember, however, is that Pierre Poilievre will
Pierre
cut
Poilievre.
and cut and cut. And that's why the conversation that we're having now is extremely important, because the Liberal Party is the only party that can grow the economy and support Canadians.
Guys, am I lagging? Can you guys even see it?
Off guard and hit our vulnerable segments of the population. So I have solutions for this. First of all, I want to bring disciplinary budget discipline to Ottawa, and the second thing is to increase our productivity.
En apportant une discipline budgétaire, qu'est-ce qui va arriver? C'est la valeur de notre dollar canadien qui va monter.
Guys, can you let me know if my stream is laggy?
Budget discipline, we will in fact allow the value of the Canadian dollar to increase
I feel like it's lagging.
to go down. And by increasing our productivity, we will have more money in our pockets. So that will be a double effect. And things are going to cost less because our dollar will have a higher value, and we will have more spending power. So this is how we're going to deal with this cost of living issue. It's not through an isolated program here and there. We need a whole system approach.
Ms. Gould?
Ms. Gould? You better say something good, Mrs. Gould. I have faith in you.
Have the strongest economy in the G7 if it does not work for Canadians, and if it's hard for them to pay their rent.
Okay, starting off good.
Pay the groceries. We need to have an economy that supports Canadians and works for them. What does it mean? I'm going to cut the
Ça va sauver à peu près 750 pour les Canadiens.
505.
Plan de logement pour
There's my word, 505.
To create more housing,
achetants à entrer dans le marché,
to help first-time home buyers to enter into the market, and to make sure that we put an end to homelessness, because poverty is expensive in our country. And I want
Imagine what me in California has to go through and see.
to make sure
Record number homeless here.
that people with a disability, people who have lost their job, have access to basic services.
Okay, if it's 2 hours, then I'm gonna go eat and I'll be right
There
back.
is a guaranteed income.
I have enough time, I think.
I'd like to add
Sorry, but
I
want to eat dinner with my fam.
De la classe moyenne.
for middle class
Je vais
families.
couper, comme je viens de mentionner,
As I've just
comme
said,
Mme Freeland, le
as Ms.
TPS
Freeland has
pour
just said,
les
I'll cut
nouvelles
GST
maisons d'achat, des nouvelles
on
maisons.
new homes.
Je vais garder des programmes comme les
I
garderies,
would
les soins dentaires, tout
focus on
cela,
investing
que
in
Pierre Poilievre
programs such as daycare that Pierre Poilievre intends to cut. He will cut
une
them.
mauvaise personne
He's the
au pire
wrong
moment
person at
pour
the wrong
l'économie
time
canadienne.
for the Canadian economy.
Comme si
Donc,
je veux
c'est chacun
continuer,
5 minutes.
oui, juste
Chacun 5 minutes,
21 secondes. Comme je viens de mentionner,
As I've just
une
mentioned,
économie canadienne va réduire des prix fortement.
a strong
Alors, c'est important de
Canadian economy will bring
prendre
down
cette
prices.
occasion
It's
et
important to
finalement,
seize this
il faut
opportunity to do that, and also
la
we
concurrence
have to
dans les
strengthen
secteurs clés comme
competitiveness
l'épicerie,
in key
comme le
sectors
droit de
like
Je vous pose une petite question.
A little question here.
Un panier d'épicerie pour
How
une
much
famille
does
de
a-
4 personnes par
A
semaine au
grocery
Québec à
basket cost for the average family?
pour 4 personnes.
For four
Moi,
families?
moi j'ai pas le droit de faire l'épicerie à ma maison.
I'm not one who deals with the shopping food shopping at the home.
200 to 250 in Toronto. It's about 250. Yes, I've done grocery
According
shopping.
to two organizations, it's
I
approximately
save more than my husband when I do the shopping.
it's $300 per week. That's the Canadian average.
Non, on n'a pas le temps. Désolé, parce qu'il faut respecter, parce qu'on doit terminer à 10 heures, on ne peut pas terminer à 11 heures.
We have to be out here at 10, not at 11.
Question de suivi avec un
So,
débat de 5
follow-up
minutes entre tous
question
les
for,
candidats. Je
with
commence
the
par vous,
parliament
M.
debate, and I'm starting with you, Mr.
L'immigration,
Baylis.
c'est un élément
Immigration
important,
is
crucial dans la réussite du Canada au cours des
crucial element
dernières
of
années.
Canada's success
L'augmentation
over
du
the last few
nombre
years. The
d'immigrants a
increase
ajouté
in
de la
number of
pression
immigrants in Canada
sur le
added
système de
pressure
santé du
on the
Québec,
health system in
l'éducation, les
Quebec,
services de garde,
education,
le secteur
daycare
du logement
services,
aussi.
and
Ça a
housing, of course.
coûté
And
très
it
cher au
cost
Québec.
quite a bit in
conflit avec
Quebec.
M. Legault et
We
le
know
fédéral.
about Mr. Legault's
On en est à
disputes with the federal government on that.
450 000 immigrants au Canada,
We
200
have
000 au
some
Québec.
450,000
Comment
immigrants in Canada,
trouveriez-vous le
200,000 in
juste
Quebec.
équilibre dans le
How
système
to find the
d'immigration au
proper
Canada?
balance in the immigration system in Canada.
First of all, I'd like to say that immigration is a good thing. It's important for Canada.
Mes parents sont des immigrants. Ma
My
mère vient
parents were
des Barbades
immigrants.
et mon
My
père
mother
vient de
comes from
l'Angleterre.
Barbados and my father
Mon
from
partenaire en
Britain.
affaires est un immigrant de l'Inde. Alors, l'immigration, c'est une bonne chose pour le Canada. Ceci étant
also
dit,
immigrants from
nous
India
avons
in our
perdu le
family.
contrôle
Having said
du
that,
montant d'immigration et
we
non seulement
do have to control
avec les
the
gens
number of
pour
immigrants
devenir des résidences
and,
permanentes, mais aussi surtout avec les
for-
étudiants. Alors,
especially
on doit se
for permanent
retrancher
residents
et remettre en
and,
place
also for students.
un système
So
d'immigration
we have to
intelligente
have
dont on avait
a smart
auparavant.
immigration
On doit se
system that we
reculer
had
un peu
before.
pour mettre quelque
So we
chose
should
comme ça en place.
step back
M.
and
Carney, vous avez dit
reinstall that.
aujourd'hui, on va
Carney, you said
maintenir
today
les
that
seuils
you're gonna
d'immigration alors
maintain
que le Québec
the
ne s'est
immigration thresholds while Quebec seems demanding to have them cut.
avec les seuils d'immigration au cours des prochaines années.
What do you plan on doing with immigration thresholds if you become Prime Minister?
Premièrement, tous mes
First of
grands-parents
all
étaient
my
immigrants ici au
grandparents
Canada.
were immigrants to Canada.
À ce moment-là,
But now,
il y a de logements.
On
there's
était
a
capable
housing
d'absorber
crisis.
leurs revenus.
Oui, on est capable,
Ça déborde
mais
partout.
il y
We can
avait
absorb them.
un agrandissement
But
du
there's
taux
been a huge
d'immigration
hike
à
in the
travers le
number of
Canada pendant
immigrants
les dernières années.
across
Et alors,
the
il faut
country over the
avoir un
past few
cap
years.
pour un certain temps
So we have to
afin de
have a
réétablir
cap
équilibre.
for some time so that we
Donc,
can
Par exemple, dans le
rebalance
cap
the
que vous parlez,
system.
On a des difficultés,
We have a little bit
avec le
of
cap.
difficulty
bien sûr, il y a des
imagining what the cap
difficultés.
should be.
Well, there will be
Il y avait
difficulties.
des erreurs.
There were
Ça c'est clair.
errors in the
Moi, je
past.
suis
That's
ici pour
clear.
le changement.
I'm
Il faut
here
régler des
proposing
problèmes.
change.
Après,
We need
mais
to
ça
resolve
prend
the
du temps,
issues,
ça
but it
prend du
takes
temps. Et je
time.
sais, ici au
Oui,
Québec,
mais ça prend du temps, ça prend des
It
écoles, des
takes
services de
time,
garde.
takes,
Ouais,
exact.
On
daycare
peut pas tout
services,
arrêter
schools,
pour investir
housing.
si on continue d'avoir.
Yeah, we have to invest in daycare as well.
Je vais commencer en
I
vraiment
want to
remercier
start
Frank pour ce
by
qu'il a
thanking
dit. C'est
Frank
très
for what he
important et
just
c'est
said. It's
très
very
bien dit
important,
concernant la
and it was very
contribution
well
des
said.
immigrants.
The contribution that
merci
immigrants
beaucoup.
make. Thank you.
C'est très important de maintenir le
It's
Canada
very
comme un
important
pays accueillant
that we
pour les
maintain
immigrants.
Canada
Mais pour
as a
faire
country that
cela,
welcomes immigrants.
on doit
But if we
avoir
are to achieve
assez de
that,
services sociaux,
we need to have
surtout de logements pour les gens
enough
qu'on
social
accueille,
services
qu'on
and
invite.
housing
Alors, en tant
for
que
the
Premier
people we
ministre, je
welcome
ferai
and
un
invite.
lien
So as Prime
entre
Minister,
le logement
I
et
would make
l'immigration.
sure there
En
was a link
faisant
between
cela,
housing and
on
immigration.
arrivera
And when
à
that
un
link is
équilibre
there,
qui sera
we
bon
can
pour
reach
la
a balance
société,
that will be good
bon
for
pour
society
l'économie. Et je finirai
and good
en
for the
disant
economy.
que
I'll
on doit
conclude
utiliser
by
le
saying
talent des immigrants
that we
qui
need
sont
to use
ici.
the
Alors,
talents of
un
immigrants who
élément
are
de
here.
cette idée de saisir
One
l'opportunité
aspect of
qui
that
présente la
notion,
crise de Trump,
seizing
c'est
opportunity
la
that the Trump
reconnaissance des
crisis
titres de
presents,
compétences
is
des
to recognize
étrangers. On doit le faire. Il y a
qualifications that
trop
have
de
been
médecins
earned abroad.
qui
There
sont
are too
dans les
many
taxis et on doit
doctors
changer
driving
cela très
cabs.
vite.
We have to change
Je
that.
peux rentrer? J'étais
Alors,
la seule qui n'a pas parlé.
I'm the only
Oui,
one who
allez,
hasn't spoken
oui,
yet.
j'y allais. là, C'est un débat à 5.
Ah, ok,
Prenez
parfait.
votre
J'ai pensé que
place.
c'était
Prenez votre place.
de tout le monde.
I
Mais,
thought everyone had
sur
a
la
turn.
question
So, on
d'immigration,
the question of immigration,
on doit être honnête avec les Canadiens que le
we have to be
gouvernement
honest
était
with
trop
Canadians.
ambitieux
The government
avec
was
les
too
cibles
ambitious
d'immigration pendant ces
with the
dernières
immigration
années.
targets
Je
over the
crois que
past
tout le
few
monde sur
years.
cette tribune
I
et le
think
Parti
that
libéral
everyone
voit la valeur et
and
l'importance
the
de
Liberal Party
l'immigration.
sees the importance and the
Mes
value of
grands-parents sont
immigration.
arrivés
My
ici avec
grandparents
$5 dans
arrived
leur
here
poche
with
et maintenant je
$5
suis
in their
ministre dans le
pocket,
gouvernement.
and now I'm a
Mais
minister in the
quand même,
government.
on doit avoir
But
des
we do
conversations
have to
avec les
have
provinces et
conversations
territoires
with
pour
provinces
justement
and
savoir
territories
c'est quoi la
to
capacité
understand what
d'absorber.
is the capacity
Oui, mais
Well, if a
c'est
province
pourquoi
says
on
we
doit
have
avoir
too
ce
many,
dialogue
well,
pour
we need to
établir
have this
les cibles. Et
dialogue
si vous me laissez
to set
terminer,
targets.
s'il vous plaît,
And if you'll allow me to
la question
end,
qu'on n'a pas parlé, c'est
what we
l'immigration
haven't spoken
temporaire.
about
Alors,
is
les étudiants
temporary immigrants,
internationaux, les
international
travailleurs
students,
temporaires.
and
Ça, c'est
temporary
le numéro
workers.
qui était vraiment énorme.
This
Plus de
figure
millions
was
de personnes
very
qui
high,
viennent à
over
chaque
2 million
année.
people
Et c'est ces conversations
entering
qu'on a
every year.
besoin
And these
d'avoir pour
conversations
justement
need to be
savoir
had
c'est
in
quoi
order
la
to
quantité
know
que ce pays peut absorber
how many
pour que
can we
tout le monde
absorb
qui arrive à
so that
Canada
everyone who
ait
arrives in Canada
l'opportunité
has the
d'avoir le succès
opportunity
et d'avoir
to
une bonne vie
succeed
ici.
and to have a good life here.
On sait que c'est un chiffre.
We know
Si je dis,
that
est-ce que
we're
le
looking for a
Canada
number.
peut recevoir 100
So,
immigrants
est-ce
par
que
année?
Canada
On va dire
can
absolument.
take 100
Si je
immigrants
dis,
per
est-ce qu'on peut
year?
avoir
Of course.
100 millions
Can we have
d'immigrants par année?
100 million immigrants
Absolument
per year?
non.
Of course
Alors,
not.
c'est un chiffre,
So,
et le chiffre,
we
c'est
have to
relié non
find
seulement
the figure
à nos systèmes de
that we
santé,
can, and it's
à le
linked to
logement,
our
à
capacity for health
l'éducation. Alors, on doit
services
s'asseoir ensemble avec
and
les provinces en
housing.
discuter
So we have to
de trouver ce
sit down with
chiffre
provinces to
qu'on peut
find what
utiliser
is this
meilleur
figure.
que-
Une chose
so
qui
that we
n'était
can
pas
come.
bien fait du
One-
gouvernement, de vraiment essayer de pousser le
What we
pays
have to do
et on
is to
doit
try-
reconnaître qu'on doit changer
We need
cette
to
voie
recognize
puisque
that
Canada
the law
reste
needs to be
pays accueillant
changed
pour les
because
immigrants.
we are a welcoming country.
You get 20 seconds each to two of you.
Je dirais très vite bon,
I would say
qu'on ne
very
peut pas
quickly
permettre le discours
that
vers
we
les
can't
immigrants qu'on a maintenant
allow
chez les
the
États-Unis.
kinds
On ne
of
peut pas
comments
permettre
about
cela
immigrants that we're
au
hearing coming out of the
Canada. Non, mais
US
c'est
at the
très
moment. We
important
can't
de
have
le
that
dire
in
parce que
Canada.
il
It
y
is
a
very
des gens qui
important that
veulent
we
qu'on a
say
le
it
même
because
discours
some
et ce n'est
people
pas
want
acceptable.
us to say the same kinds of things. It's not acceptable.
20 seconds.
20 seconds.
How much? 20 seconds, okay.
Alors, Christian a fait un lien
Christian
entre
has drawn a
l'immigration
link
et la
between
crise du
immigration
logement.
and the housing crisis.
Tellement raison.
She's quite
Il
right.
faut construire
We have
des
to build
millions de
millions
logements
and millions
ici.
of new
Il faut
homes here
changer,
in
il faut
Canada,
renforcer des
and we
programmes
have to strengthen
comme
our
les fonds
programs,
d'accélérateur
like
qui
the Accelerate, the
fonctionnent
Housing
ici au
Accelerator
Québec, par
Fund that
exemple, à la
works
ville de Québec.
La question 3, donc,
here in
le
Quebec.
système de santé canadien
Understand
est
that the Canadian
confronté
health
à des
system
défis
is facing
comme le vieillissement de la population,
huge challenges
la
like the
pénurie de
aging
professionnels,
population, the lack of
les
professionals,
listes d'attente qui sont
waiting lists
importantes,
that
entre
are
autres au
quite
Québec pour
long,
les
in
chirurgies.
particular for
Au
surgery in
Québec, la
Quebec.
santé est de
In
compétence
Quebec,
provinciale,
of
mais
course, is responsible for
on
health,
connaît les mêmes problèmes que le
like
reste
other
du Canada.
provinces,
Alors,
but it has all the same
tout à l'heure,
problems
vous
as
avez
well.
dit, il n'y a
Earlier,
pas d'augmentation
you
de
said
transfert,
that there
mais
won't
ici,
be any
notre
increase in
système de
transfers.
santé à nous au Québec.
Yes.
Parlons
But
seulement
our
du
healthcare
Québec, c'est
system
le
is
débat
set. We're
français.
just
Si
talking
notre
about
système
the
de
health
santé à
system in
nous
Quebec.
a
Yeah.
besoin de plus
If our
d'argent
health
pour bien
system needs
fonctionner,
more money in order to work
comment
properly, how
pouvez-vous penser
will
à des
you
hausses de transferts parce qu'on
think
en a
of
besoin maintenant?
not think of increased transfers because we need them now, Mr. Carney.
Pardon, Madame Freeland, pour la réponse.
Ms. Freeland starts off.
OK. Alors, je suis tellement d'accord que notre système de santé est
that our healthcare
très
system
important pour nous. Ça même
is
fait une
extremely
partie de
important to
notre
us.
identité canadienne.
It's part
On
of
doit
our
avoir
Canadian
un bon
identity,
système de
even.
santé.
We need a
Je
good
dois vous dire
healthcare
aussi
system.
que je
I
respecte la
must also
compétence
say
des
that I
provinces et
respect
territoires en ce qui concerne le système de santé.
jurisdiction
J'ai
of provinces and
j'ai eu
territories
plusieurs
when it comes
conversations
to health.
avec les premiers ministres des provinces et
I've
territoires
had a number
qui
of
m'ont dit,
conversations
c'est
with
nous
provincial and
qui gérons
territorial
le
premiers
système.
who say
On
that
a, le
they
fédéral
manage
a
the system.
déjà ajouté beaucoup de
The
l'argent.
federal
On
government
doit
has already
maintenant
put in
parler.
Guys, I'm trying to fix the lag level. I don't know why it's doing this to me.
Avec les Canadiens
deal
concernant les
more
résultats.
funding.
Et on doit
We
faire
need to talk
des
about
choses spécifiques.
results
Par
with
exemple,
Canadians,
je
and there's some
propose
specific things we need to do
d'accueillir
as
les
well.
médecins, les infirmières
propose
canadiens qui sont aux
that
États-Unis,
we
de les inviter de
invite
venir chez nous.
Canadian
Ça
physicians
aidera notre
working in
système
the
de
US
santé.
to come back.
And we can also tax them,
Ils vais
right?
payer le même
And
taxe.
well, they'll pay the same taxes as everyone else.
Non, les Canadiens veulent
Canadians
maintenant venir au Canada parce qu'ils
want to
comprennent
come back
que
to
nous sommes
Canada
sous menace et
because
ils
they
n'aiment pas
understand
beaucoup
that
ce
we're
que le
under
président
threat,
Trump fait aux
and they don't
États-Unis.
much like what President Trump is doing in the US.
That is true. I can confirm that.
So,
A lot of Canadians back here in America are selling their houses and going back to Canada.
Nous allons
And
avoir
I do
le
have a plan
meilleur
for us.
système de santé
We
au
are going to
monde.
have the
Oui,
best health
le
system in
meilleur
the
au
world.
monde et
Yes.
c'est faisable.
And it's
Mais pour le
doable.
faire, on a besoin de changement de
So,
paradigme.
But
En ce
we
moment,
knew
notre système
we
a
need to
été
change our
conçu
paradigm.
Nunavut.
problème de santé santé
Our
aiguë.
system was
Tandis que maintenant, nous avons
geared towards
besoin vraiment
emergency
d'un
and
système de
acute care.
santé pour les
What
problèmes
we need
chroniques.
is a
Alors,
system
qu'est-ce
that
que je vais
deals with
faire?
chronic care.
Présentement, vous avez
So
juste
what
deux
is that?
portes d'entrée pour le système.
Right now, there are two
Still
entry points in
lagging.
the health system. You either have a doctor or you have to go to emergency.
Deactivate?
And of course, I don't have to describe how things proceed in the emergency.
That's video capture.
And I think that it's important for us
YouTube.
to train nurse practitioners that can work at home, visit people at home. And I think that we also have to broaden the scope, professional scope of pharmacists so that they can have the... Yes, they're trained to do it. But they have a wide scope of... They're trained to do
even more. Mr. Carney.
Well, first of all, we have to maintain provinces for the provinces, and we have to respect their jurisdiction, including Quebec's jurisdiction, of course. Secondly, we have to eliminate obstacles to nurses.
I'm just trying to get it to be smooth for you guys.
We should only have one Canadian economy, not 13 different ones. Thirdly, we have to build a healthcare system which is modern. We have to use, as Mr. Bayliss mentioned, one single digital medical file across the country. It has to be a national file, and we have to increase the use of AI within the healthcare system. And as the federal government, we can work in cooperation with the provinces.
$1 billion in the United States on artificial intelligence, and a lot of France as well, not part of the rest, but there it
We
is.
have to invest.
Une augmentation.
No,
We have to increase our spending on AI.
There you go. Fight it out. Fight it out. Let me just figure this out.
AI can do everything.
We have to run physicians as well.
I agree. And Canada's very strong in AI. We have to
Maybe bring down the bit rate.
leverage that. We have the capacity.
Takes a little time. Chronometer.
It more effectively.
Mr. Bayliss.
We have problems, and it starts with homelessness and the lack of affordable housing, and that's what pushes people into criminal lifestyles. I don't...
Go ahead.
Non, mais si vous permettez de finir là.
No, please allow me to finish.
Right what he's saying.
There we go. Fight.
I'm not trying to blame people who have problems. We have to help them. But having said that, there are things that we can do.
There we
For
go.
example,
We're back.
Mr. Trump was talking about
We're back. It's working good
reinforcing
now.
the border.
Woo!
I wouldn't have given in to him on that.
Sorry about that.
I would have said we also have a problem with the border because there are a lot of illegal weapons that get through the border.
I agree.
So
That's
we should
true.
have a negotiation on that.
You guys need a military on your border.
I'll give you whatever you want. Secondly, the government creates laws. And now there are all kinds of technologies that we can incorporate into our laws.
AI,
so
drones,
that our police
drones,
can
AI.
use this technology, so that they can
Welcome
update
back,
their
everybody.
to
Sorry
fight
about
against crime.
the stream problems.
Wow. There needs to be a big change here. Mr. Bailey and my colleagues are right.
There you go. Just keep agreeing. Just keep agreeing. That's all you
federal
need.
government's
Just to agree
responsibility
with
to do
everything.
that. We have to invest in the police and surveillance. We have to work with the Americans on this because most firearms come here from the U.S.
Yeah, sorry about that, Canada.
Let me finish. We also have
We need to put our criminals away here too. That's the problem.
For violent crime, like domestic violence as well. We have to have a buyback program for firearms.
No, you guys need more guns, but legally.
AR-15s on our streets here in Canada.
I agree with what Mr. Carney was saying, but when Mr. Bayliss was speaking, what I wanted to say is that we can't blame people who are homeless for crime. That's not right.
Yes, you can. Are you serious?
You said, yes, you said.
I hate that argument.
That crime was caused.
If you're homeless and you're committing crime, it better be for bread. If it's for anything else, it's not an argument.
That these are criminal organizations. It's organized crime.
I can agree with that.
Stealing vehicles.
Yeah.
or that is breaking and entering into homes. The only solution for that is to reinforce our borders.
See, that's why I like her, because she makes a little bit more nuanced points. It's not just your baseline, same as everyone.
Firearms entering into our country, but it's not right to equate homelessness with crime.
But I disagree with the homeless thing.
It's a follow-up question, followed by a 5-minute debate. In fact, I have 2 questions.
Yeah, you can. That's fair.
96 adopted by the National Assembly.
That's what I was saying. Like, if they're committing crime, it's still wrong. You shouldn't disqualify it. But the ones majority stealing the cars, I think she's right about that. It's probably like organized. They know how to steal them. They come by, they steal their car. But yeah, if homeless people are committing crimes, lock them up, dude. They need accountability too. That's why they won't do it again. If you don't do anything, they'll just keep going. Why wouldn't they stop? They'll just keep getting crazier, stealing more things, bigger things, more expensive things.
I'd like to begin by talking about French. I believe that it's extremely important to be clear.
Boot all homeless boot all homeless commit crime. Oh, not all homeless. Yeah, exactly. But the ones that do, they need accountability. Because it changes the way people look at other homeless, right? If you come across one homeless who's a psycho on drugs, tries punching you, then next time you see a homeless, whether they're good or not, you're going to act a certain way.
And our identity.
Yeah, that's true. The drugs.
Our bilingualism. It includes
they need to take care of the drugs,
and
people won't be as crazy.
I think that now it is more important than ever that we respect and support French and support francophones across Canada.
There you go. Got to get the French vote.
As well as anglophones in
Got to pander to everyone. Can't just pander to the regular Canadian.
When I was elected in 2013, my French was very good.
Answer the question. Answer the question.
I am ready to support French and bilingualism across Canada. That's very important.
Anybody else want to answer?
Sneaky beesh.
The Liberal Party is a party that upholds the Charter of Rights and Liberties of Canada. And as a Liberal and as a Prime Minister, my work will be to make sure that all Canadians throughout the country, in each province and territory, have access to their rights and freedoms. So, whether Anglophones in Quebec or Francophones outside of Quebec, I recognize the importance of the French language here in Canada, but in my opinion,
camps are in the city.
The Charter of Canada is the Charter of Canada.
The homeless encampments leave drug paraphernalia, i.e. drug needles, all over. The camps are in the city where the rest of the people live, where kids go to school. Yeah, it sounds like every other country. They do this shit on purpose. That's my thing. Like, why can't you just find a certain place, spend some money instead of sending it overseas to Ukraine? Build little encampments where they can go to that's away from students. Like, you'll fix some of the problem at least.
You can't learn English, which is a business language. That doesn't make sense. So I'm against Bill 96 because I think it's discriminatory against young francophones.
I'm assuming Bill 96 has something to do with like French, speaking French or French. I don't know.
Mr. Carney, for or against?
Oh, Mr. Jobin, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a constitutional expert either. I am a progressive. There are major challenges facing the French language here in Quebec. We have to strengthen the French language, have to promote it.
Are people starting to speak less French in Canada or something? Are they moving towards?
And now,
yeah. Is your government giving out drugs?
Like French CBC are in danger.
OMG. Done with the French issue. The language is far from being in danger. Yeah, what's that whole thing about, Ilana? Are people trying to say that the French language is in danger?
Shit, it's incredible. It's at the heart of our society, our Canadian society. And the Liberal Party of Canada will strengthen French CBC and English CBC as well.
Well, that's something I wanted to underscore, and thank you, Mr. Carney, for having
thank you, competition.
We can't allow Mr. Poilievre to become Prime Minister.
Why not?
He clearly said
This literally sounds like this is like Germany, right? And all the other parties are trying to collude to not get a AFD, Pierre Poilievre.
CBC and Radio Canada. And
yes.
Radio Canada and CBC share the same infrastructure. So it's a direct attack on our cultural institutions. And Pierre Poilievre is a real menace in that respect.
Yes, and I believe that
here we
this
go.
is a time
Be
when
quiet,
as
everyone.
liberals
Christian
we
Freeland
need to
speaking.
Be united.
Mrs. Makeup is speaking. Everyone relax.
Will always support Canadian culture. Francophone culture in Canada.
Francophone.
All support.
It's like iPhone, but
Hybrid Canada
Francophone. And it's made in Canada.
This is a very important
Canada first.
time for Canadians. Pierre Poilievre has been very clear. He wants to cut and cut and cut, and that is very dangerous to our
No, it's not.
identity and
No, it's not. That's
sovereignty.
beautiful. That's amazing. Keep cutting.
With the
Well, actually,
law on
I think she's talking about the French.
laïcité, which is against the rights that are guaranteed by the Charter. So Ms. Gould starts on.
In Quebec, all other languages are legally
Once
second
again,
languages.
The Liberal Party is the party that upholds the Charter of Rights and
Besides
Freedoms.
French,
So
it's
our
all.
work as a federal government and my work as a Prime Minister would be to defend the rights and freedoms of each Canadian. And
Each Canadian?
Quebecers themselves have brought this to the Supreme Court. And
So Quebec is complaining about this. They see it as a problem.
against this law. As a government, I will support them to make sure that each Canadian in this country will have access to the rights and freedoms.
I would like to add, very well said, Karina.
There you
I
go. Just keep
completely agree.
complimenting
Our
each other. Just
party
keep
is the
complimenting each
party
other.
of the Charter,
Not
and
like you
as
guys are
Prime Minister,
competition and
I
need to
will
debate each
always,
other.
Always uphold the Charter.
Just agree and drink coffee.
I believe
No problem.
that this is not the time for us to have divisions and conflicts within our country. What I'm
Yeah, but you're at the debates.
feeling within conversations is that Canadians are more united than ever. United in the idea that we're a bilingual country, that we will support francophones across Canada, linguistic minorities.
Mr. Carney,
Anywhere
on second
they
I'm not gonna lie. If I lived in Canada and I had to learn French, I'd be kind of pissed off.
And we're
Well,
united.
look, I wholeheartedly agree with what Karina said.
There we go. Let's add a third agree. They all agree now.
I'd like to add the following, as Christian has just said. Now we're facing a situation where we're under attack. Our values are under attack
By who?
by the Americans.
Oh.
Therefore,
Sorry.
we need
It was an accident.
reasonable accommodation. I respect secularism here in Quebec. I respect that.
That's a
possible
fair
in
point.
Canada.
If I
It's
speak
not
Mandarin and
possible in
want
the
to
US.
advertise my Mandarin business, I must do it in French.
It's an important thing.
Dude, that sucks.
I've been fighting against this bill ever since it's been implemented. So there was a young Muslim woman, and her parents said that she was doing a good job. She didn't have any problems. Her only crime is that she was wearing a hijab.
Oh,
And
here we go.
Removed her from our employment. So let's be 100% clear.
I thought we were talking about
This is a
language.
discriminatory law, and
It's the law.
and the cost that we had to pay for the trial, it's our group that gathers the funds.
What the
to,
they sued the
fund
government for that?
trial case. So I'm dead against this, set against this law.
Team number 4, climate change. It's
Here we go. This is my
and it's
favorite
the
topic,
threat
guys.
that we
Climate
see with
change.
fires
The
and
Green
other
New
extreme
scam.
meteorological events. The leader of the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, wants to
Axe the tax.
attacking climate change. The carbon tax, he wants to axe it. What do you do with the carbon tax?
Axe the
Freeland?
tax. Bring it home, Canada.
I will
Increase the tax.
eliminate the carbon tax on consumers, and I will do that as part of a larger climate plan that will continue
Axe
to
the
fight
tax.
climate
Forget
change.
the
There's
facts.
something important that has to be
And let's
said
be
tonight.
rich.
We need to recognize and thank Prime Minister Trudeau.
Oh
for
my
what
God! Don't
he's
thank
done
that guy
on
for
climate.
anything.
He is the first leader
Why?
in Canada's history to put in place an climate action plan.
That's what makes him suck.
And today, for the very first time,
History will not look good on Justin
are seeing
or anyone who
economic
promotes this
growth
green
while
stuff.
emissions go down. We have to continue on that track. Respect
Drill, baby,
the position of
drill,
people who
Justin.
say they don't want to be taxed directly, and continue with the climate incentives that I set up as finance minister for the green industrial transition that creates jobs and
Mr.
attracts
Bayless on the
investment.
carbon tax.
Do you guys think this this commentator mediator is in the middle, or is he slanted?
I would implement a climate
Sounds like he
policy
doesn't
that would
like
have
Pierre
a
either, though.
tangible and direct impact on the environment based on the recognized model of the polluter pays. The system that we have right now doesn't work. We'll
We have
implement a
free
system
speech
that
as
does
long as
work,
we
where
we
everybody
say what we are
contributes,
told.
individuals
Is it free
and
speech
industry
then?
alike. Of course, there's a cost.
I feel like we have pretty free speech here in America now.
Collecting waste.
I think I could
There's
say
a
anything I
cost
want.
to water treatment and for pure air. And people who say that we can do that without a cost are not honest about it. So, right now, the carbon tax
This is French. Everything is in French.
doesn't
Companies
really
refuse
deal
to
with the
open stores in
issue.
the province because of the French
I would like
laws.
to reinvest
Ah,
the funds
so
in
it's ruining
programs
business in
and the
Quebec
Canadian
because they have to have it
businesses
all
that
in
will
French.
implement
I don't mind
real
tax breaks for
changes
green stuff,
to
but not
the
increased
climate
taxes.
situation.
Yeah,
Moi, je vais
exactly.
pas abandonner
This carbon
lutte
taxing,
contre les
it's
changements
crazy.
climatiques. Je crois que
I'm
je
not
suis la
going
seule
to abandon
personne
the fight
Offices
against climate
offices
change.
also have the
concédée
language
à la
policy,
taxe sur la
as we
carbone.
call them,
I'm
that
not going to
come to
concede on
visit
the
to ensure
carbon tax.
they are using
I
the
promised
Microsoft
that I
in
would
French and
cancel
not
the
English.
increase that was set
It's free
for
speech
April the
because
1st,
it's
but
what
we need
free
to be
people
honest
can
with
say.
Canadians. It's a price on pollution, and this represents 10 to 15% of the reduction in our emissions, and that's a lot of what we're doing. And as a mother
Avec moi.
with 2 children, I cannot allow the planet to burn. I have to do my share
God.
to make sure that we can
I must take care of the environment.
clean water and clean air. And when Canadians say that they don't agree with the price on pollution, it's really a question of affordability right now. So
Yeah,
we
that's true,
need
I guess.
to deal with affordability.
If
and
everything was
then
going smooth and the
we
country
need
had
to
extra
continue
money,
with
I
the
honestly wouldn't
agenda.
mind
First of
the
all,
green initiatives. I just find it crazy when the green initiatives make your country worse.
Climate change.
You can do both.
Recently, as the UN Special Envoy, we're in Montreal. Montreal was where the protocol was signed, where the COP15 was held as well. We know that it's a duty for Quebec
There's
and
Carnival
Canada
Boy.
to deal with climate change. That's
He hasn't dropped that
Canada
pen
I
this
know.
entire time. He's still
Secondly,
clutching to that pen.
we're in Montreal, which is the headquarters of Hydro-Quebec.
I will now know that as the Carney meme.
It's
Whenever I
an
talk to
economic
anybody, I'm gonna hold my
imperative,
pen and my
for
finger like
Canada and
that.
Quebec. It's an economic imperative to reduce
I am
greenhouse
Carney.
gases so that we can have clean manufacturing, so that we can have clean infrastructure, so that we can have good jobs and export abroad as well. And we have to have a better trade relationship with the EU.
But Mark,
But
what
Mark.
would you do about the
On the
carbon
carbon
tax?
tax.
Oh yeah, there you go.
we
Answer the
cancel
question.
it.
So he wants to cancel it?
Consumers and small and medium businesses and farms, and now replace it with a system where big polluters pay. And
So he just wants to restructure the carbon tax.
And I'd like to say something very quickly.
He's gonna rip you off in a different way, not the carbon
It's
tax.
very important
Carnage
for us
Carney.
as a political
That guy has
party
so many
to
nicknames.
listen to Canadians. And Canadians
Marxist
have been
Mark
very
Carney,
clear.
Carnival Carney, Carnage
We have to win
Carney.
against Pierre Poilievre, and with Pierre Poilievre, we lose everything.
So, we now have
We, as in her party and
Mr.
her
Trudeau
their sham they've
question
built
put
up.
to you. I said that there was people from the party that sent in some of the questions, and
Here we
Mr.
go.
from Quebec
Public questions.
answers to the survey. It says with the acceleration of
Ask
climate
about the
change that
waste.
opens up new commercial routes in the Arctic. It might be the next world of geopolitical. How would your leadership reinforce the sea sovereignty and security of Canada in the face of the new issues with military bases, submarines, etc.? How we're preparing for the threat to the Arctic?
Was that a young Liberal who asked that question?
Who cares?
It's a very good question. It's one of the greatest risks for our country. We have to.
How much you want to bet that that question was planned?
Everyone knows this. I was born.
They were prepared
in
with
the
these
Arctic,
questions.
in the Northwest Territories. I know it well. So we need to have at least 2 military bases.
Yeah, I studied the Northwest Territories from England when I was using my other passport, not my Canadian
How do
one.
we do that? That's the difference between us, between the Liberal Party and Pierre Poilievre. Pierre Poilievre takes a flight to Nunavut like an emperor, and he says, we're going to build a base here. And he comes back to Ottawa, to his mansion in Ottawa.
Mansion?
Does
he have a mansion?
Conversations.
I feel like Pierre lives good.
The Premier of Nunavut. We're talking about building a base, the possibility of securing the Arctic, while at the same time increasing the prosperity of people in Nunavut, including.
Isn't Nunavut like the way in the Arctic, like northeast?
The ice is melting.
I think that's where it is.
It's Canada, isn't it?
Remember 8 years ago when AOC said we'd be dead in 10? We only have 2 years left. Oh my god. Yeah, they were saying that back in the day too. Back when like my grandpa was around, they were saying the shorelines are gonna rise, all this stuff's gonna happen. Diana Lockie. Carney is Justin's little rag. Absolutely. They're heel and heel. They're like the same person.
No, not you. And if we're going to protect the Arctic,
England, I thought it was Ireland.
Our sovereignty, we need to invest more quickly. I have 2 ways of doing it. First of all, by increasing the salaries of members of the armed forces. We don't pay our soldiers enough, and we can do military purchasing in a better way. We need to fast track this to make sure that we're able to protect the Arctic.
Mr. Bayless.
So if you
I feel like you guys should have a powerful military.
For Canada's defense.
With all that
And
oil?
It's clearly laid out that we have to protect the Northern Passage. It's a national priority to protect the Arctic. And as Madame Gould underscored, we have to
go back to England before you screw everyone over.
Better.
Oh, go back to England after you screwed them over.
We are going to invest.
I don't think they want him. They probably want to keep him in Canada.
We have to invest a 2%.
Maybe you guys should send him to another country.
GDP.
Send him to North Korea next.
We have to do it intelligently to protect the North. And that's how we're going to meet this challenge.
Stefan, thank you for the question.
Thank you for the question. Not like he's going to ask everyone else the same question.
The reality is that today we can no longer rely on the United States to defend us.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what Trump wants. Trump doesn't want people relying on U.S. security.
As president who is threatening our sovereignty. So we need a new approach. A new approach to national security and defense, and it has to begin with the Arctic, the North. We have to work very closely with our northern allies, including Denmark, which is also being threatened.
Yeah.
We have to work with our European
Iceland,
allies,
we're coming for you. Is it
nuclear
Iceland or
defense
Greenland? I think it's Greenland, actually.
France and the UK.
Greenland.
And we need to invest
Welcome
in
to
our own
America.
defense. I agree with Karina. I do believe we need to invest the full 2% by 2027.
Yes, there we go. By right now.
I wouldn't send those checks to the U.S.
Bobblehead, cocaine, Freeland.
I want to invest in Canadian
Yeah, Diana's got
30
some funny
seconds only
comments.
because we're almost through. 30 seconds.
I love all these
respect the time.
nicknames.
I'd like to add the following. 80% of
Does Freeland have any like
of each
other
dollar
nicknames, or does
goes to
Carney
the
only have the
US.
nicknames?
a country which is threatening us, and this is the reason why I've said that we have to increase defense spending by the end of the decade. We can do it more quickly, of course.
By
But we
tomorrow.
have to invest here in Canada.
So
I don't understand why a country wouldn't spend on their own defense. It gives you so much more leverage everywhere.
Might be necessary. I know we're sending oil to the United States. There was also talk about an east-west pipeline that Quebec refused.
Yes.
So what do we do?
East to west
If,
pipeline.
the idea of implement comes back. You said two things, Mr. Carney. You said we'll never impose a pipeline.
Yeah, he
Quebec,
called
but
him
you
out.
also said it could be
Finally.
possible to use the federal government's power, including emergency powers, to accelerate projects that our economy needs. So what does that mean? It can't go through all of Canada and not go through Quebec. Quebec says no. How are you going to manage that?
C'est simple.
Pretty simple,
projet
really.
comme Energy East
A project like Energy East
est possible.
is possible.
C'est possible.
It's a fact.
Possible.
Une oléoduc
It's possible to build an oil pipeline from Quebec to the Maritimes,
déplacer,
from Alberta,
déplacer les
to-
importations de pétrole
to
des États-Unis.
displace our oil exports to the US.
70%
70% of our oil
vient des États-Unis.
comes from the US today.
Voisin.
Why?
Our neighbor,
Plus notre
Why?
ami. OK?
no longer our
Alors,
friend,
c'est-
of
c'est-
course.
c'est une occasion, c'est une
I think it's
possibilité.
an opportunity for us that we should seize.
Le Québec,
Quebec,
l'Ontario,
Ontario,
le Manitoba,
Manitoba, Saskatchewan
Est-ce que vous êtes en train de
have
dire
to
que le
agree.
Canada
They have to
est
buy
au
in.
Québec en ce moment?
But Quebec
We
right
need to
now,
clean house.
because it's Trump that's threatening, but
Carney is just Justin's sock puppet.
maybe,
Yep,
Quebec will say
saying two
now
things to
that
do
Trump
two
is
different
threatening.
people. Yeah,
It
that's
will
all
be
they
some
do.
possibility.
That's
Everything.
all these politicians do. These career politicians that have barely been in politics, they just want to tell you something nice so you can vote for them, and then right after they're elected, they'll do the complete opposite but still lie to your
It's
face.
changed. It's quite possible
crazy.
that they now say yes. Final point: the federal government
agir
has to act
rapidement
quickly
et rigoureusement.
and rigorously
En effet, de soutenir un projet
to support a project
ici, si
like
c'est dans
Energy East, if
The
it's in
race
the
is
interest
solely
of the whole
between
country.
Christia and Carney. Yeah, the others
We
are always
need
irrelevant.
to do two things. We have to
But they have to be there for fairness, you know?
diversify our exports, and we've already done that with energy infrastructure. That's a good thing, and we have to continue. We
You need to keep
also
going, lady. You haven't
have to
done
be
nearly
more
enough.
resilient with homegrown energy. In the riding I represent, people are heating their homes with natural gas
Yeah.
that comes through a pipeline going to the US. That position is dangerous for
Yeah,
us.
so why
and we
wouldn't you
have
just
to
make
do
the east to
something
west
about it. We
pipeline?
have
It
to
doesn't even
change that.
touch America.
Thank you.
énergétique ici au Canada,
Energetic
c'est-
security
ça est devenu quelque chose qui est
has
primordial
Quelque
dans
chose.
notre pays.
a very important issue for Canada. I'm not sure if it's a pipeline or if it's a discussion on refining our
On a besoin d'avoir. Mais c'est une conversation
resources
qu'on
here in
doit
Canada,
avoir
but it's a
tout en
conversation that we need to have. We need to have this conversation while respecting provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples.
moment de protéger notre sécurité
We
énergétique.
need to protect our energetic security. We need to see how we can go forward with the resources that we have, and also we need to fight against climate change. I'd also like to say that I know for people here in Quebec, but also throughout the country, the cost of gas is something that concerns them greatly. So how can we work together
Why is your gas prices high when you guys have oil? Is it like us,
to
where you guys just
protect our
don't drill because you
energetic
have to save the
security,
environment?
protect our economy, our sovereignty, and ensure a better
Mr. Bayless, what's
future
your
for
opinion?
Canada?
Well, it's time to have an honest discussion with Quebecers. We can the three ways of transporting oil. We can transport it by boat, pipeline, or train. Now, when it comes
Pipeline.
to shipping, just imagine if there was an accident on the Maritime Seaway, St. Lawrence Seaway. It would be an ecological
You guys taxed the
catastrophe.
S out of
Then,
it, the ish
concerning
out of it.
rail transport, remember what happened in the Mégantic. So I've already announced that we're going to put into place two gas pipelines, one to bring natural gas from Alberta towards the eastern Canada, and the other one to take natural gas towards the west of Canada. It would diversify our markets, it would be good for Canada, and it would also be good for the environment, because it would
How's that?
give the European markets to replace oil and coal with natural
May I
gas.
add something quickly?
Okay, that makes sense.
I want to thank Karina for mentioning Indigenous people.
Oh, that's rich. She's talking about the Indigenous people, but then again, they kicked out the Indian lady, so she's not Indigenous, but
Well, First Nations have to be involved in this. What would be your approach with them? If Quebec says no, maybe the First Nations, and they're now partners, and they have thought we have to consult
who's
them.
the Nazi in the Parliament building? Was that from a while ago when they made a mistake, or so-called mistake?
Thank you, Karina. And, of course, the participation of Indigenous people in our energy projects are extremely important. As Minister of
even
Finance,
into that?
I created
Are they even into
a $5
energy
billion
projects? I don't
program
think so.
to make it possible for Indigenous communities to take part in
Oh,
the
last year? That's not
projects
that long ago.
and to create greater prosperity for Indigenous communities.
Yeah,
This
that's
is a start. but
politicians
Canada
for you
must
doing weird
continue
things.
to include Indigenous people in our major natural resource projects. It boosts prosperity and reconciliation.
It's 9:47. I still have a few questions. If we have time, I can come back and
There we
can talk
go.
about this again. The government Trudeau announces that it'll go forward with a project of $10 million for a high-speed train between Quebec and Toronto. These major investments.
How do you guys feel about that? I think that's a dumb idea. He's also stepping down, so why is he making decisions like that?
Results. So what's your vision for this project? Is it to be financed essentially by the government? Is it a public project? Is it a private project? Is it PPP? What should be done with this project that Mr. Trudeau
I say that
is
because I'm in
launching?
California and we had our high-speed rail, and they wasted $17 billion, and they haven't even laid any track. They haven't even bought any land yet.
TGV. This week he didn't consult me. I don't have the figures. But it is an interesting project. It's very important for our economy in terms of how we fund this project. It's clear that there has to be public and private funding. It's clear that the federal government has committed to invest about $4 billion over the next decade to prepare for the project. Now, if the project is the right one, if it's viable, well, quite probably the government will.
Even the guy translating for Carney just sounds monotone and boring.
I fully support the project.
This lady sounds
It's good
better.
for the environment, it's good for the economy, and it's even good for housing.
I like how the debate started with
Because if we
everyone
have
will get
a
an
high-speed
equal amount
rail,
of time.
that
Not an
makes
equal
it
amount of time.
possible for
There isn't
people
that much
not
traffic
to
between
all
Montreal and
live in
Toronto.
major cities.
What there is goes by plane.
We need a responsible approach. And a responsible budget means we need to have the funds and use the funds we need to build our country, to boost economic prosperity.
You need the funds
Yes, I support
first.
the program. I think it's an excellent idea for two reasons. First of all, it's good for the environment, that's clear, but it's also good for the economy. Why? Because it's going to encourage new links. It's been demonstrated by studies in Europe that with the high-speed train, university professors and business women can travel about much more freely. So it's
Why did he specifically say professors and women?
very good for the economy.
What the hell?
I agree. I think that
No
everyone
surprise there.
is in agreement.
D'appui pendant les dernières 10 ans que j'étais à la
I've been
Chambre
working
des
on
communes,
this
en tant que
project
Railroad.
for about 10 years. I'm very pleased to see that it's going ahead for all the reasons that my colleagues have stated. But I'd like to highlight that I'd like for us to talk about reconciliation more. And that's why I raised this subject.
C'est une question fondamentale
This is
pour
a
le
fundamental
futur de notre
issue
pays.
for the future of our country, and we cannot go forward
Trust
without
me, as someone who lives in a country with $36 trillion of debt, spending wisely is smart before it gets out of control.
Partnerships without the inclusion, without listening to the voices, the ideas, and also the leadership of Indigenous peoples here in Canada. And I think that
120 billion.
it is very important.
It's a lot of money.
Thing of the Trudeau government. We have done more, and I would not
we have some 3
abandon
minutes
the
before
Indigenous
your
peoples.
closing statements.
Oh, here we
So,
go. Closing statements.
Questions.
The most uneventful debate on earth.
Drop the writ.
You guys should.
I can answer.
I'm gonna rewatch
Where Canada is
the
at
Trump and Kamala debate. You guys should watch that with me too. That's what a real debate will look like.
US will have
What
to
the
see
best
what is the
option is
best
for
option for
Canada?
Canada.
Mr. Carney now.
Exactly.
We should never take a decision until we have to.
Before you have to make that decision. I agree with what Ms. Gould has said.
It's actually better to be proactive than reactive. My middle school PE coach taught me that.
So we don't want to talk to Trudeau because he doesn't have any power. We want to talk to someone else who's going to be an elected representative.
Yes.
Well, there has to be a government with a clear mandate and a strong mandate at that.
Pierre Poilievre.
It's better to have a liberal government. Much better. Mr. Jobin, if you allow, there are circumstances, probably not the most probable circumstances, that things might happen. Things might happen by the middle of March. We'll make a decision accordingly.
I've been elected 4 times.
I've been elected
I have
4
a seat
times.
in the House of Commons.
Great.
So as Prime Minister,
I was forced to resign because she didn't want to let it
choices to
happen.
make, and I would make my choice not on the basis of
And the guy giving
what
them the
polls
bids,
say,
Justin
but on the
Trudeau.
basis of what's best for the national interest. If on March 10th we're in an economic war with the US, I would talk to provincial and territorial premiers. I would talk to the unions.
You know, Trump did say today, he said
to
that
business
he's serious
people,
about the
and we
tariffs,
would
and they're coming
together
March
decide
4th.
Whether Canada should go to the
March 4th.
to an election or keep a stable government. And given the fact that I have a seat in the House of Commons, I would be able to make that decision and decide what is best for
She's
Canada.
arguing that she wants to keep the status quo. That's her advertisement.
Well, with the threat of President Trump, it's essential that we have a stable government in place.
Yeah.
The problem, of course, is that Monsieur Poilievre
Desperate liberals calls for desperate times.
putting his
Yep,
just
just like America.
national
They got
interest.
exposed here, they will be
So
exposed
if it was
there
possible
too.
to reach an agreement with Mr. Poilievre and say, listen, we need to be strong and united right now so that we can defend ourselves against Trump, that would be wonderful. But if he doesn't want to play along,
They're trying to get Pierre Poilievre to like submit to them, and they're using like this whole Trump thing as the boogeyman, but it's not true. That's
puts
all
his own interest
baloney.
ahead of Canada, he's going to force our hand.
Time's out. Time's up.
His interest? Are you serious? You hear these guys?
Mr. Bayless, you have 90 seconds for your closing statement. Go ahead.
I will be the best janitor Canada's ever seen.
So, Canada is a country of wide spaces and broad ideas. We're going to have a
guy's so
strong
weird.
and resilient economy for the benefit of all Canadians.
So
We
weird.
will
I don't
have
like this
a
guy at
better
all.
health system. In fact, the best health system in the world.
He's more
in the
corny
world, if
than
we follow my plan.
Carney, but
And
Carney's
we'll
worse.
establish the confidence in the federal government when it comes to the delivery of services. And yes, we are going to stand up to President Trump. But let me
Quelque chose.
underscore something that hasn't been said up until now, and it's important for me to do so.
Here you go.
The French
drop the
language
mic.
and French culture is part of my personal identity. So Quebecers, Acadians, Franco-Ontarians, Franco-Manitobans, and Métis, I want you to
Acadians?
understand that I am an ally for you in Ottawa.
He's
I
trying to
will
get
not
those
only
votes in
fight
Ottawa.
to protect but promote French language and culture across the country. We will have a Canada that is proud and prosperous. This is the future that I want to build.
All
with you.
literally say the same
So
thing.
let's be courageous.
Let's be courageous.
Audacious. Let us aspire to a Canada that we can all be proud of. My name is Frank Baylis.
I approve this
and
message.
I am asking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baylis. 90 seconds.
Thank you. This evening,
She was my favorite,
you've listened to a debate
but she
of
kind of sucked on
ideas
some of the
on a
questions.
vision for the country. The reality is that we're not going to be conservatives light to win the elections. We're going to stay true to liberal values. We're going to fight for Canada. And to do that,
We have to use
we
guns.
need
No, I'm just kidding.
policies for today and for the future. Not the same old, outdated political
Oh no, is
ideas
it
from
lagging
the
again,
80s and
guys?
90s.
It's
You've
okay, it's
heard
almost
my
over.
vision for Canada. To face today's problems, and we will be confronted with different ones tomorrow. We need new leaders who will fight for Canadians, a leader who understands what people are experiencing and who works each and every day to improve their lives. A leader
Yeah, wants the
who
Quebec vote.
is
Janitor wants the
able
Quebec
to
vote.
stand up to bullies.
His political
A
experts
leader
told
who will
him,
not
listen,
back
you
down.
need to
Canada is the best
to
country in
appeal
the
to them.
world to
Canada's the
have
best
a
country in the
family,
world.
to build a business,
To have a
and one's
family.
future. We
Wow.
are
This
a
is my
nation of
commercial.
creators,
Here's
of
my
innovators,
advertisement.
of dreamers. That is where
Of
opportunities,
dreamers.
empathy, and progress works
Wow.
hand in hand. I am the candidate for the future, and this future starts now.
Thank you.
I kind of don't like her anymore. That was really corny.
Members of the Liberal
I am Carnival
Party,
Carney,
Canadians,
sometimes called Carnage
across the
Carney.
country, you've
I
told
own
me
3
that you're
passports,
concerned. You're
and I've
worried
only
about
been
the
here for
future.
4 years because
You've
I
told
have
me
to.
that you want positive change. You're looking for a leader who can unite us.
World Economic Forum.
You want a plan to defend Canada.
Davos, Davos,
and that
Davos.
creates opportunities
We
for
must
all.
send all our money to Ukraine. Ukraine
I'm
is
up
the
for that
most
task.
important country on this
I'm
planet.
not a politician, a career politician.
I am a weasel.
That's true. I'm a pragmatist. I'm a person of action. And when I see an issue, a problem, I want to solve it. Throughout my career, I've managed many economic crises. I've built strong economies, and I've gone through tough negotiations, and I've succeeded. That allows me to have the necessary experience to lead Canada.
Fuck, dude, even the
through
translator is
this
so
turning
annoying.
point in the history of our country. I love our country.
So monotone.
Canada has given everything to me, my family,
10 years of this
my
literal
education,
dumpster fire.
my values.
Really, Canadians
ready.
vote. Real Canadians
give
vote
my all
conservative.
for
Woke
Canada.
ass, brain dead
Thank
Canadians vote liberal. And illegal immigrants, don't forget about them. They vote liberal.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Chauvin.
thank you.
Thank you, dear colleagues, for an excellent conversation.
Thank you for the agreed upon
It's clear
topics
that
and that
are
we didn't
strong.
argue.
We, the Liberals, are strong and united.
We are united and we suck
We
together.
agree on a lot of things. Canadians today are coming together to defend our country.
Karina is
Restaurants are
condescending.
removing
Con.
American wines from the menu. Snowbirds aren't going to Florida this winter.
Yeah, they're
Our
moving back to
country is
Canada, to be
strong,
honest.
Intelligent and united. I'm very grateful to be here tonight with 3 other Liberals who love Canada, and to address the 400,000 Liberals who love our country as well. Pierre Poilievre agrees with Trump. They both say that Canada
Let's go,
is broken.
Pierre!
We know it's not.
You guys need to make some of these hats, but it says make Canada great
Canadians are
again.
more united than ever. Let's use that passion to
Makaga.
make our wonderful country even stronger and more prosperous. Tonight, let's make a commitment to fight for Canada.
Shut up
All
already.
4 of us, all Liberals, all Canadians.
You're not a
Together,
Canadian?
we will win.
Yes, thank
More
you, Mr.
Canadian
Lee.
than Carney.
Thank all of you for your presence this evening and having respected the rules. Everything went pretty well in this.
They don't
is the
have.
end,
They don't
therefore,
love
of this,
Canada. They love
debate for the
their
leadership of the,
version of Canada.
Lib-
They also love the
Liberal
paycheck
Party,
and
the
the,
French.
you know, the money under the table.
My colleague will be
Karina is talking to children.
and
That's
the
their
election
base.
will be held on the 9th of March. Coming
Yo,
up.
you have these hats?
Thank
What are
you.
your guys' say? I didn't know that.
Do you think that Donald Trump followed
Canada
the debate
first?
this evening? Not the French
Not in
debate.
French.
Maybe tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I'll be back tomorrow too. I want to see if they say the same thing in English. They probably won't, but
Thank you all. Good luck to each of you. There's a few weeks of campaign within the party left. Have a good evening. Thank everybody for having been there. Goodbye.
whoop, 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 whoop. There you go. Yeah, see, they're hugging. They're literally hugging. Bunch of wieners. Alright, guys. Anyways, that was that. If you can, drop a like, subscribe, hit the little bell, and I'll be back tomorrow. You gonna watch the English? Yeah, of course. That'll be less annoying. Make Canada great again. Let's go. Yeah, did you guys like the debate, or let's just get a quick, not a recap, but how'd you guys feel about it? My general thoughts are they all said the same exact thing, but in different ways. It felt really rehearsed, really planned. Even the questions they got from the dude that they said it was surprise questions from the voters. Ain't no way. Those sounded like prepared answers. And then even at the end, they hugged. They literally hugged each other. So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. If they're taking away, if they're literally axing people out of the debates, taking their money, not even proving it. I'm scared for your elections. If it was free and fair, I think Pierre would demolish, but man, these WEF agents, they always have tricks up their sleeves. 100% Pierre, yeah. This debate didn't change anything. It's all Pierre. Alright guys, well, have a good